What we do here is go back.
Hello there, my delightful motherfuckers. Yeah, that's right. I swore. I'm getting it out of my system. You'll notice, dear viewer, that I am not on camera right now. That would be... You are not the real Rory Cats. How dare you? How dare you imposter. Because anyway, I'm not on camera because I'm going to be doing the Normal Island show tonight with Curtis, which would be it's a thing. That is an image that exists in the world. I saw it. You also needed to see this. Look into its eyes, Elliot. It wants to eat you. Anyway, or at least steal your data and give it to the American government. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So that's what I'll be doing shortly. Maybe I was cosplaying as Rory Cats. Ever think of that? That is one delightful way of describing yourself as a furry. I was merely cosplaying as a cat. That is sort of how that works, I guess. I assumed it was you being incompetent again. No need. Absolutely fucking no need. Arizal or Dave in North London. Stop it. Anyway, yeah, I'll be doing that in a second, so... I can't be bothered to go through it, but basically, I can't have two streams of the camera. So I have to turn it off here, and then it goes into the thing. Anyway, so, yeah, I'll be on in a second. Yes. And we've got loads of shit to talk about. Loads of shit to talk about on that show. The topics are going to be Benjamin Netanyahu and the ICC and the Labour government's response to that here. Oh, God. Keir Starmer, the leader of the socialist, quote-unquote, Labour Party, sucking off BlackRock. Yeah, that BlackRock. Amazing. And then there's a Novara media bit, which should be, unfortunately, spicier than it needs to be. Because, you know, not good times. Anyway. Why is the main image here Zuck waiting to get a facial? If that's the way you have chosen to interpret this image, Phantom of Black, I think that says rather a lot about you. This, for me, this image is very much like a Rorschach test. Only way more perverted. In the way one interprets it says a lot about them. It could be someone waiting to get a snowflake. A perfect, innocent snowflake landed upon their tongue in a magical show of the dance of nature between man and Mother Nature. It could be someone waiting for communion in a Catholic service, trying very much to commune with God. You have decided to interpret it as perverted degeneracy. You say indoors, that could be an outside deck. That could be an outside deck. You have no idea what's going on here. The Zuck is rich enough to afford posh flooring outdoors. He owns all of the things ever. Just waiting for Curtis to send me the link to the thing. I'm not a puppet, I'm a real boy, Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, I know, he's a fascinating creature, by which I mean terms of service. Yes, okie dokie. What have we got? Oh, no, we want that. No, that's not right either. What am I doing? Yeah, that's the camera I want. Audio. No, I don't want the stream cam. I want the Yeti. There we go. That's the one I'm after. Virtual background. Oh, good lord, no. Join the broadcast. Oh, hang on. No. That remembers me. There you go. No need to type.
Bringing him
in
and out.
If you, I mean, if you click on guest, it'll bring him in. If you click on the Zoom, it'll bring him out. So if you click on guest, it'll bring him in. If you click on Zoom, it'll bring him out. So if you click on Zoom, it'll bring him in. If you click on Zoom, it'll bring him out. So if you click on Zoom, it'll bring him in. If you click on guest, it'll bring him in. If you click on guest, it'll bring him in. If you click on Zoom, it'll bring him in. If you click on Zoom, it'll bring him in. If you click on Zoom, it'll bring him in. If you click on Zoom, it'll bring him in. If you click on Zoom, it'll bring him in. If you click on Zoom, it'll bring him in. If you click on Zoom, it'll bring him in. If you click on Zoom, it'll bring him in. If you click on Zoom, it'll bring him in. If you click on Zoom, it'll bring him in. If you click on Zoom, it'll bring him in. If and then you got Split, which I've not added him yet, which I will.
Oh,
do.
that's why I couldn't figure it out. Of course.
Ah, okay. So let me just quickly do that.
Hi, Kevin.
Wagwan,
Hello,
brethrens.
Kev.
What is happening?
Very, very good. What is happening to you?
What is happening to me?
Yeah, I don't know why I said that.
That is.
What's happening with you?
That is more.
Actually, what's
more
happening to you? Because I feel like that might be quite interesting.
What is happening to me? My nephew pissed on me today.
Did he?
He did.
What the fuck?
He
How's that even
He
come
decided. Well, he's a baby, and I was changing his
Okay.
nappy diaper for Americans watching. And by the way, you're live at my end, so like, just
about? Yeah, I know.
keep the racism to a minimum. Yeah, I know what you're like.
Antisemitism to zero.
Yes. Yeah, and he decided that the moment I took the nappy off was exactly the moment he needed to start pissing all over the place.
Fucking hell.
Little cunt.
God, were you babysitting?
Yeah, it was, oh god. It was, other than that, it was absolutely fine, but like, come on. It's deliberate. There's no way, it's impossible to measure, to think of that as anything other than a deliberate, like, dirty protest.
Yeah, he was like, I'm going to hold it in until I'm going to piss on you.
Yeah. It was weird, it's unnecessary. That's what it was.
Unnecessary, but also very funny.
It is very funny, but also, I'm going to wait until he's 18 so it's not illegal and then batter him.
Piss on him. All right.
I thought you were going to say that too.
That would be weird. I'm going to wait until you're 18 and then I'm going to piss on you.
And then I'm going to urinate on you. That would be a very weird thing to do. Whereas just physically assaulting him is fine, actually. That's normal.
Yeah. Fucking hell, man. I'm going to get in so much in trouble.
True.
Lewis, you're good, mate.
Yep, pretty good. Yep, happy. Got the videos, got the graphics. Know how to switch the guest out. For anybody who's watching right now, hello, Kevin's audience. This is the second time I've done this, so
Hello, Kevin's audience.
just making sure I've got the tech right.
Well, my audience are used to technical incompetence, so if you just make it run, then you will impress them.
You'll also be glad to know, right, I'm wearing a new suit and I've not worn it out yet, so you're the first person to see it. And I'm wearing it for you.
I'm very impressed. I didn't think you could be more sexy, and yet you've somehow managed to up the bar yet again.
You know
I
what?
don't- there's no
look I
seal
want
in
you
there,
to try
Kev.
next is I want you to wear that suit jacket, but with a turtleneck, a white turtleneck. I think
You
that
think that
would
look good? I've got a
I'm being sarcastic,
pink.
by the way.
Oh,
It's
right.
ridiculous.
I thought you actually gave
I'm
me
not giving gay fashion
advice.
You honestly,
return
you
of
look
misogyny.
like you're about to attend a Diddy party. I'm just saying.
Ah, well,
But what's
I can
funny is
confirm
that
that there's no connections between me and Diddy.
didn't he famously host like the White Party? Wasn't that his
Exactly.
thing?
That's what I mean. Yeah. Like I'm not suggesting any sexual impropriety. I'm just suggesting the look.
The
I'm
only white
suggesting
party,
sexual
the only time I've ever
impropriety.
heard of the white party is on white chicks.
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
That's the only time I've ever heard it referenced.
Or the white party as in the GOP. Heyo.
Ew.
So very quickly, I'll obviously keep an eye on any breaking news as I usually do.
Yeah.
But would you guys like me to do the countdown?
I'm
Yeah.
ready.
Lovely. So I'll go back to host, and I'm going to start the countdown and go live. Have a great show, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm muted. Oh, it started again there. Fuck. Okay, I'm now muted. They cannot hear me. Yeah, so, you know. Oh, I've got their chat up as well. Okay. Anyway, yeah, hello there, everybody. Yes, my nephew pissed on me, so you have to give me money. That's the rule. Just for the record, I would piss on you, Kevin. Well, Aerosol, I'll take that as the compliment I'm sure it was meant as. And thank you for the bitty bits. Don't forget, everybody. You can like the stream. You can become a member for as little as 99p. I'm doing it the other way around tonight. I don't know why. You can subscribe for fuck all on YouTube. You can give membership to the community, and you can do super chats, which I will read out afterwards. I have turned the alert box off for the duration of this recording because, like, it's difficult enough trying to sound vaguely newsy when I'm not being distracted. So, like, fuck being distracted. Anyway, so you can do all of that if you wanted to. On Twitch, you can become you can subscribe. No, what is it? You can follow. You can follow for nout, for fuck all, gratis. You can subscribe for $5 dues or something in that realm. I don't fucking know. Inflation's a bitch. You can do super chats. Well, the Streamlabs link below. You can do bits messages. 200 bits or more might get you a text to speech later. It won't currently, but I will read it out afterwards if you do. So that's a thing. I've got Patreon and PayPal. I've got a Discord you can go and check out. There's YouTube, Blue Sky, TikTok, Threads. Did I say Facebook? I think I said Facebook. I'm not sure. Is it £6 now? Oh God. Well, there you go. Yeah. So we're just waiting. More like text to poop. That does not work. Vogel, that does not work, right, at all. As a joke or a pun or anything. Bless you for trying, but that is much like Austria, questionable at best. Just saying. I'm going to relog. I have excessive lag. Oh well, that can happen sometimes, certainly. Hello everybody in both of the chats. When's the next happy hour? Probably Monday. Christie's had some like real IRL shit to deal with in the last few weeks, so like the fact that we've been a bit more intermittent with the happy hours, happy's hour, whatever, is like, don't hold that against anybody. Like there's been shit going down. Look, she's fine and everything. You don't need to worry. But like, I'm just saying, like, she's had stuff that's far more important than internet gobbledygook. Like, there is a time and a place to watch shit on the internet, to produce slop. And there are times when, you know, other things may take a front seat. Like being pissed on. All at my left arm it was. Dirty bastard. I shall inform him of that in front of his friends in years to come. Be under no illusions, I will be embarrassing him with those stories. Isn't she moving home soon? Possibly, but I don't know. Possibly not. Basically. Hey, hello Lefty Conspirator, how are you, man? Tell his future partners. Well, they might be into it though. Okay, I'm going to unmute myself now, so just... yeah.
Happy Friday, and welcome to Normal Private Life. Tonight I'm once again joined by our very good friend, Kevin Logan. Kevin, how the devil are you?
I am all the better for your presence, sir. How are you?
I said this to you backstage, but tell everyone, this is my brand new suit, right? And I wore it just for Kevin, so I hope he appreciates that. Also, we've got fireworks going on in the background, so I'm going to try not to get... Honestly, these days, there's fireworks going on all the time. I mean...
Are you sure it's not just gun crime? It could also be that.
It could be gun crime, but I'm just going to think that it's fireworks. So I feel a little bit safer. Now, the topics we will be discussing tonight refused to say whether they would arrest Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu is anti-Semitic. Keir Starmer glazes of BlackRock, and of course the Novara media controversy. As always, keep those comments coming in. We're halfway through, we'll be reading them out. So if you haven't already, hit that like button. The algorithm loves it, and we have to do what the algorithm says. Now, on to our first story. Keir Starmer has refused to say whether the UK will follow the obligations of the ICC and arrest Benjamin Netanyahu if he were to come to our country. Now, a government spokesperson has said they do respect the ICC's decision. Downing Street said the government respected the independence of the ICC after warrants were issued for Benjamin Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant. The Prime Minister's official spokesman said the court based in The Hague was the primary international institution for investigating and prosecuting the most serious crimes of international concern. A domestic court process would be required before Mr. Netanyahu faced arrest if he set foot in the UK. Now, as you've just heard in that article, it states that there needs to be a court process in the UK to decide whether the UK should arrest Netanyahu should he come here. However, it is mandated that countries who are part of the ICC must arrest those with an ICC arrest warrant. So, I mean, I feel like there's some legal grey area here. Now, Home Secretary Yvette Cooper has been asked this question multiple times, and here she is giving her obviously prepared scripted answer.
Police arrest Benjamin Netanyahu if he comes to Britain.
The UK is a signatory of the International Criminal Court, so I just wanted to ask if you can confirm that he would be arrested if he came to the UK.
You are told that Benjamin Netanyahu is coming to the UK on a visit. Will you be reassuring the Israeli government that he will not be arrested? That is my question.
Well, that's not a matter for the Home Secretary. Well, that's not a matter for me as Home Secretary. Well, that's not a matter for the Home Secretary. There are proper processes that need to be followed, and therefore it wouldn't be appropriate for me to comment on those. There are legal processes and government processes that need to be followed, and they need to be done in the proper way. And that's why it would not be appropriate for me as Home Secretary to comment on speculative processes. It wouldn't be appropriate for me to comment as the Home Secretary on speculative cases, because it's important that legal processes and government processes, including Foreign Office processes and so on, have to be followed. There are important processes that need to be followed, and that's why it wouldn't be appropriate for me as the Home Secretary to comment on individual cases. There are proper legal processes and government processes that have to be followed, and it would just be wrong for me as Home Secretary to comment.
Now, I've got some people in the chat saying there's issues with my audio. I've turned up my volume, so can I just get a quick mic check from people? How am I sounding?
You're okay at my end, for what it's worth.
Yeah, Mr. Producer, how am I sounding?
You're okay on my end too.
Okay, well, we carry on. Now, I would have thought it was very much the business of the Home Secretary, so it's clearly a highly scripted, thought out. I say thought out, not really thought out, but it's a silly response. Kevin, I want to get your thoughts on this. I mean, the government has said they respect the ICC. Having said that, they won't follow through with the obvious obligation the UK has, which is to arrest Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant if they were to come here. So, in your view, is this tacit support for Netanyahu whilst pretending to care about international law?
Yeah, it's not wanting to offend their paymasters in Washington, basically. The people who actually set British foreign policy, unfortunately, at the Pentagon. Yvette Cooper's prepared line there, like you say, was pathetic. You are the Home Secretary, and as a person appearing on the media, you are a representative of the entire government. So, for instance, if the Agriculture Minister is there and they ask about the government's position on something not agriculture related, they are still allowed to answer because they are there as the representative of the British government. So a cop-out is to say, oh, I can't comment on this because it doesn't come under my brief. A, yes it does, and B, you're representing the government. Yes, you can put the position of the government. If the government doesn't have a position, you can also say that, although that would be a bit weird and mental. But anyway, by the by. So she's just lying. It's just palpable nonsense. The British government, as signatories to the ICC, have to arrest if they are to follow their international law obligations, as they keep banging on about in regards to Russia and Ukraine, and we'll get onto that in a second, I'm sure. The comparisons, they absolutely have to arrest both or either of Benjamin Netanyahu or Yoav Gallant, or indeed the Hamas leader, who was also indicted in these particular set of arrest warrants, if they ever come into British territory. It's as simple as that. There are proper processes. Yeah, the proper process is that we as signatories sign up and say, if you have an arrest warrant out for a person, we will arrest them if they come into our territory. It's very simple. That is the legal process. This is such obvious and complete bullshit. They're trying to have their cake and eat it. It's good to see people from within parliamentary circles like Emily Thornberry, who's the Labour MP, who's the head of the the Foreign Affairs Select Committee of the House of Commons, coming out and saying, being a bit more forthright, a bit more strident. And she was originally pegged as going to be one of the main people. She was going to be possibly the Attorney General in this Labour government. Didn't happen in the end, but clearly is thought of relatively highly and is a well-respected member of the Labour Party. So her coming out and being far more strident about this and saying basically the UK has to, agree to this or has to abide by this, is important. But it does appear that they're hedging their bets in a way that is really very unfortunate. And what puts paid ultimately to the lie of Yvette Cooper and the government's position on this is that the second that the exact same body issued the exact same arrest warrant for Vladimir Putin in regard to his crimes in Ukraine, and quite rightly, they were all out there chomping at the bit, baying for blood, that he had to go to The Hague, he should hand himself in immediately, etc., etc. But when it comes to Benjamin Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant, they are essentially, like I say, hedging their bets. They want to be seen to be following the rules-based order without actually doing so, because that would upset the people in Washington who actually run the country. It's a genuinely pathetic position to find ourselves in.
I don't really know the legal stuff in this specific case, but I don't understand where apparently there has to be a domestic court case for this.
No, there doesn't.
But
that's just not true. No.
Yeah, so that article clearly, which we quoted from The Independent, I don't know where they got that from, because it wasn't a quote they used from the spokesperson. It was without quotes. It just said, "Oh, the UK has to do their own domestic court proceedings," which, from where I stand, I'm pretty sure if we're part of the ICC, that's it. If Netanyahu or Yoav Gallant steps foot on our shore, we got to arrest that guy.
Yeah, we arrest them and extradite them to the Netherlands. Yeah. It's very simple.
Now, many countries, I mean, to jump off what you were saying, many countries can kind of get away with this line because, we support the ICC in their independent decision, whilst behind closed doors, they can just say to Netanyahu, "Oh, don't worry, we've got your back. Just don't come to our country because that will force us into a situation."
Yeah.
So, what do you make of the fact that they're?
Well,
go on.
I think I understand the point you're making, and in a way, that in of itself, although be not remotely a sufficient punishment, is itself, I think, part of the hopefully deterrent from committing such crimes. Is that this does massively cut down the amount of places you can go to. We saw that with various people in the past who have been subject to investigations from the ICC and the ICJ, that it becomes difficult for them to travel around the world. They become ostracised. They become seen as pariahs on the social, international, diplomatic stage, which again, like I say, is not remotely a sufficient punishment, but is in of itself hopefully a guardrail against people wanting to commit such crimes, because they realise that's the position they could end up finding themselves in. I don't want the diplomatic gloss of Benjamin Netanyahu or anyone else who's a war criminal coming to the UK and either speaking to the House of Commons or the House of Parliament, I should say, or going to Buckingham Palace and being seen as a legitimate world leader, a person with whom we can and should do business diplomatically, because they're not that. They are criminals. They are mass murderers. These people should be seen as the monsters that they are, not being given the diplomatic cover of being allowed to come here. So if those back-channel communications are taking place, that in of itself is something worthwhile. It's not sufficient, but it's okay. It's better than literally nothing, which might otherwise be the case if we just ignore the international rules completely.
Well, Netanyahu is definitely safe to set foot in the US because the US are attacking the ICC. And they said that though. They said if there's an arrest warrant, we're going to put sanctions on the ICC. I mean, I guess our position is slightly better.
To be fair, just on a purely legalistic basis, America is not a signatory to the Statute of Rome, and therefore the jurisdiction of the ICC doesn't reach them. If you add in the fact that they're doing that because they're the ones who are the largest war criminals that basically have ever existed, and I'm including the British Empire in that, which is pretty significant.
Precisely.
That's the reason they're doing that. And of course, a little known fact: the American government, when it wants to seek to commit itself to war, the president has to go to Congress and ask for permission. Now we know that's a nicety that they don't actually follow anymore, but that's technically the rule. So back in the early 2000s, in order to essentially defend one man, Henry Kissinger, the United States Congress almost unanimously passed a piece of legislation that would clear the United States federal government to invade the Netherlands, where The Hague is, where the International Criminal Court sits, in order to extricate any American citizen, in this case Kissinger, although he's not named in the legislation, from the jurisdiction of the ICC. So literally, a NATO ally, they have pre-cleared, they can invade and take someone from the ICC. So, any posturing from the American government or any of these neocon hawks about the international rules-based order is absolute nonsense.
I just want to say, is my audio coming out my MacBook rather than my microphone, do you think? Because I'm still getting people saying there's audio issues. This is left-wing media for you. We haven't got any money behind us, so you can support us though.
Well, exactly. You can both support them, but also this is the ultimate sign of credibility. Is that you have the most
true. I feel like
audio.
if our professionalism blew up overnight, you should be asking questions, right?
Exactly.
You should be asking
questions.
questions.
Who's behind this?
The audio sounds fine.
Okay. Apparently, my producer says my audio sounds fine. Okay, I'm going to ask you a hypothetical here, Kevin.
Please do.
If Netanyahu does decide to come to the UK, what do you think the Labour Party are going to do? Are they going to try and come up with an excuse, or are they going to... I mean, there's not much they can do. They said they respect the ICC's decision or their autonomy. Well, Netanyahu comes over here. Yeah. What do you think?
I honestly think they will, because of course all of these things are sort of talked about beforehand, and it's all sort of stage managed.
Yeah, absolutely. I can imagine there's many conversations they had before they went on air.
I think they'll just tell him don't come here, because that puts them in a really difficult position. It doesn't, morally speaking, or indeed legally speaking, but considering that they're, how do I put this? Zionist arseholes. It does put them in a difficult position because they don't want to arrest him, even though they know legally speaking they really should, and morally speaking they should. So I just don't think he will ever come here again. I don't think the British government would allow it. And that's fine, by the way. You can ban foreign citizens. We've banned various people, including notably culturally recently, Mike Tyson for his crimes, and he committed far lesser crimes than those committed by Benjamin Netanyahu, or certainly less numerous. So that's a thing you can do. But I think the wider discussion needs to be had now, given that the ICC have made their pronouncements on what they think is, a case to answer. Why are we still allowing the normal diplomatic niceties to happen? Why is Zippy Hatavelli, the Israeli ambassador, who is a genocidal freak, an absolute mutant of a creature, why is she allowed to still be here? Why is the Israeli embassy allowed to just exist as if they're not a pariah state, engaging in genocide and apartheid? Why is that being allowed? It shouldn't be. It's a disgrace.
A disgrace it is. Now, we are going to move on to our next story, but it is sticking with the ICC. So, let's move on. Now, Benjamin Netanyahu has mounted his defence, and he says the ICC is anti-Semitic. The anti-Semitic decision of the International Criminal Court is a modern Dreyfus trial and will end the same way. Israel utterly rejects the false and absurd charges of the International Criminal Court, a biased and discriminatory political body.
Yep, everything in the world is anti-Semitic. Oh, I stubbed my toe. It's anti-Semitism. Now, in that tweet, Netanyahu referred to the Dreyfus trial. So, if you don't know, what is it? Well, turn-left contributor Antifa has written a very helpful thread on Blue Sky. To summarise, Dreyfus, French captain Alfred Dreyfus, was falsely accused of revealing French military secrets to German officials and subsequently court-martialed in December of 1894. The accusations against him were marred in anti-Semitism from open anti-Semites in the press. One of Dreyfus's accusers, and arguably the most aggressive in the press, was, I'm going to try and pronounce his name, Edouard Drumont. Drumont held Dreyfus up as an exemplar of betrayal and had founded the Anti-Semitic League of France in 1889. His paper carried the slogan, France for the French. It wasn't until 1899 that Dreyfus was released and cleared of any wrongdoing. Throughout this time, he remained staunchly loyal to France and would go on to fight for France in the First World War. The military, however, wouldn't admit his innocence until 1995. So what can we draw from that thread is that Dreyfus was wrongly accused because he was Jewish, and due to anti-Semitism, there were trumped-up charges. Now, Benjamin Netanyahu was trying to fool us, right? He's saying that, well, because he's Jewish and that Israel is the only Jewish state, therefore, this is straight-up anti-Semitism. This is dangerous, as he's in effect saying that no Jewish person can ever do wrong. Whilst Dreyfus was on the receiving end of anti-Semitism, Netanyahu was being held to account for simply being a genocidal monster. Kevin, let's bring you in on this. I mean, I would have thought that Netanyahu would have been a little bit more imaginative than to go straight to, oh, the ICC is anti-Semitic. I want to get your response.
I don't credit him with any level of imagination whatsoever. He's just
true,
a monster.
Yeah.
I posed the question the other day, and I'll repeat it now. Is there any organisation in human history that's done more to undermine the seriousness of the accusation of anti-Semitism than the Israeli government? I can't think of one. It's interesting they bring up Dreyfus as a historical analogy, and a disgrace that they would besmirch the memory of someone who was wronged completely and utterly. And like you say, it wasn't until the mid-1990s, a century later, that they actually finally admitted that he wasn't guilty of this crime and it was just absolute Jew hatred. That's exactly what was taking place there. And by the way, the Jew hatred that you saw in that instance and the ones we're seeing in with the rise of the far right in Europe today should be seen in that historical context of the way in which that fascism metastasized in Europe and became eventually the Nazi empire across all of Europe. Just a horrible historical echo that we could stamp out in its infancy. That's a different matter. It doesn't surprise me in the slightest that this is their go-to response, because they don't actually have a real legal response. They have no legal leg to stand on, and they know that because they know they are committing genocide and they're happy to commit genocide. They just don't want to be accused of it. So, I mean, you did the joke already, but like literally, if Benjamin Netanyahu stubs his toe or sneezes, it's anti-Semitism, apparently. Anti-Semitic dust getting up his nose that made him sneeze. He's just an absurd creature. Even Zionists accusing other Zionists of being either self-hating or whatever because they're not Zionistic enough. It's just ridiculous. I don't even know, purity spiraling or whatever you want to call it. And
derangement.
It is.
I'll go further than that. It's purely derangement.
Yeah. Well, that's where ethno-nationalism leads you. Ultimately, it's a kind of self-cannibalizing force. It doesn't surprise me that you would bring up something like Dreyfus, because, of course, they've done worse than that in bringing up the victims of the Holocaust, the capital H Holocaust, to justify their current ongoing genocide. Trying to hide behind the 6 million Jewish people who were murdered by fascism in order to themselves commit fascism against a different ethnic group. It's a despicable betrayal of both the victims of anti-Semitism and Jewish people more widely, because they make Jewish people's lives less safe by doing this.
I suppose specifically he chose the Dreyfus trial because this is a legal matter now. And obviously, if you draw parallels, Dreyfus was targeted because he was Jewish and there were trumped up charges, and that's obviously what he's trying to say. The ICC is biased. it's corrupt, it's Hamas. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I'm sure they'll find a network of tunnels underneath the ICC in The Hague. So I'm sure.
Yes. I'm sure there's brand new pristine copies of Mein Kampf
in
under everyone
Arabic.
who works at the ICC.
In Arabic.
In Arabic, you know,
Yeah, very,
not
very.
you know, not a condition of a book that looks like it's been read through and carried for years. A pristine copy, just placed.
Absolutely, no, very
you know.
convincing, I'm sure.
Houses blow up, but books stay perfectly fine.
Yeah,
Love that.
That's how it works, definitely.
It's how it works.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it doesn't surprise me that this is the route they've gone with it, because this is the route they were always going to have to go with it, because they don't have a defence. They just, that's the thing to bear in mind. They don't have a defence. But I think we can take not just solace in the fact that, you know, some semblance of the beginnings of justice is happening to bad people, but the way in which I think certain countries especially have responded to this, countries like France, I think, who have been pretty straightforward in saying that if he goes there, he'll be arrested, because that's the rule, right? I never thought in a million years I'd ever live to see the ICC do what they're doing. Or even see the, I mean, it's a different case because it's not individuals, it's countries, but the ICJ specifically in the South African case against the State of Israel. I never thought we'd see the day where the international community began to see the tide turning slightly. I think this is a genuine moment of potential change. Whether it comes too late to realistically save the possibility of a genuine contiguous Palestinian state or not, I'm not sure. But it's certainly long overdue and something we should definitely be celebrating.
I mean, I am very happy. And when I heard of the news, I was ecstatic. And I will actually say this. I'm going to make a claim here, right? That Turn Left technically broke the news before the mainstream media.
Okay.
That is actually thanks to Lewis White, who's our Turn Left contributor. We've got a group chat going with all our news. And he posted it in there. And we went, what? And we instantly... We went to the ICC for the actual source, and we shared it, and then mainstream outlets picked it up. Obviously, the fact that we only have like 4,000 followers on Twitter, it got like 10 likes. Obviously, not expecting credit or anything. That would be absurd. But just shows that a bunch of people who care about the issues, who don't get paid for it, can do some good work there.
Well, I am giving you credit, and honestly,
I'll take that.
Considering the good work you do and how shit the British media is, I'll give you all the credit in the world, because even you just sat on here, you know, chatting poop with me is a significantly better contribution to the overall understanding of the topic than the paid Zionist lies that you'll just see replete throughout the media.
I agree. I mean, we can have our worst conversation, and it's significantly higher quality than the shit you see on here in the mainstream media. It's why we do what we do. Now, Netanyahu isn't the only person saying that this is anti-Semitic. I mean, I've seen a bunch of Zionists online say this is anti-Semitism. I've seen people call Bernie Sanders a self-hating Jew for proposing a bill to stop arms sales to Israel. Now, Bernie lost family in the Holocaust. Now, anti-Semitism mainly comes from the far right, but I'm sorry, but I think there is rampant anti-Semitism from Zionists. It's a boy who cried wolf.
That's just another example of the far right. I don't see them as different.
Well, do you know what? That's a very good point. It is a good point, because obviously when you speak to Zionists and you find out their politics, it's not like they're liberal or left-wing and then suddenly pro-Israel. So to be fair, it's all one of the same. So you kind of corrected me there, which makes a lot more sense. Now, I was going to say it's a boy who cried wolf, though, because unfortunately people aren't buying in it. That really worries me, because less and less people are going to take genuine cases of anti-Semitism seriously.
Yeah, this is what I mean when I say that they make the Israeli government make Jewish people's lives more difficult and more dangerous around the world. This is precisely why. There is a genuine uptick in anti-Semitic hate crimes and anti-Semitic opinions in various parts of the world, unfortunately. And people won't take that threat as seriously, because they will see the obviously spurious bullshit claims of anti-Semitism being made by the Israeli government. And then when they see other accusations of genuine actual anti-Semitism, they'll just go, well, that's just the same as the bullshit Benjamin Netanyahu was saying. So they won't take it seriously, which just gives further cover to the rise of fascist, neo-Nazi, white extremist groups to do what they're doing. It's just, honestly, they are not just themselves bad as like people or whatever, but they specifically the Israeli government is unbelievably bad for Jewish people, and as we've seen, quite anti-Semitic. Whether it's the Hasidic Jewish population of Israel, who have been pretty steadfast in their opposition to the current ongoing genocide and have been beaten repeatedly and arrested and harassed by the Israeli forces, or whether it's Jewish people outside of Israel who dare to speak up in any way, like you say with Bernie Sanders, they get accused of being self-hating Jews, which is an appallingly anti-Semitic thing to say about a person who was a very proud Jewish man who, like you say, had family that were slaughtered in the Holocaust and has been generally actually relatively supportive of Israel over the years, but has obviously seen that this current situation is absolutely untenable and has tried to do even the slightest to just try and stop the slaughter from happening, and he gets anti-Semitic abuse from people who will say that anything else against them is itself anti-Semitic. It's ridiculous. Every accusation is a confession.
I love that line so much. I've deployed it so many times. I tell you what, the last 2 years, that's like my favourite phrase. Every accusation is a confession. Now, you made this point earlier, but I want to bring it up, which is the lack of consistency. You know, so many Western leaders backed the ICC when the ICC issued an arrest warrant to Putin. I mean, Starmer was pretty unequivocal in his statement when it came to him. And this is what he said. I welcome the International Criminal Court's decision to open war crime cases against Vladimir Putin and other senior Russian figures for their barbaric actions in Ukraine. Today's announcement sends an important message. There will be no hiding place for Putin and his cronies, and the world is determined to make them pay for what they have done. I have seen firsthand the destruction and devastation waged on the brave people of Ukraine. These cases are just the tip of the iceberg. One day Putin will face justice. Until then, the focus of all who believe in Ukraine's liberty and freedom must continue to be on ensuring her victory. Also, can he stop fucking gendering countries? It's so weird.
It is weird.
I wish that was a statement from Keir Starmer about Israel, but it's not. So I want to go back to you on that one. I mean, that was Starmer. Again, many Western leaders echo the same lack of consistency. And look, we know why they are consistent. We know why there is a double standard. The problem is it's only going to intensify the contempt people have for our legal institutions. And I think that is linked to the growing presence of the far right. So, I mean, would you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, I think there's definitely something to that. As always, the kind of liberal incompetence when it comes to actually applying genuine justice, not just law, or even in this case, and law, will lead inexorably to the far right rising. The undermining of institutions, both on a national and international basis, is a real problem. I mean, we've literally seen even today with Trump having his hush money hearing indefinitely suspended. Basically, if you're rich enough and powerful enough, justice doesn't exist, and you can get away with whatever you like. And Israel, being essentially the foreign arm of the United States in the Middle East, are allowed to essentially get away with whatever they like. We saw, for instance, this week, literally a day before the ICC gave these arrest warrants out, the United States being the only country on the Security Council of the United Nations to veto a resolution calling for a ceasefire. There's no reason for Joe Biden to even be doing this. He's not running for election ever again. Why the hell does he need to do this? It's because it's like an ideological thing. He is a Zionist, right? That's why they're doing this. And it just makes a mockery of any actual attempt for a diplomatic solution, because they're not interested in a diplomatic solution. They could have had a diplomatic solution a long time ago. The hostages should and could have been released already. But they're not interested in that because it's not about that. It was never about that. As we've seen, they're literally selling land in both Gaza and the West Bank. It's just the colonial endeavour. It's the Zionist colonial endeavour continuing itself. And that's all that's taking place here.
Kevin, you're cooking. And you didn't even leave second gear. I love it. Now, I can't believe this, but we have 335 people concurrently watching on both Twitter and YouTube. We're breaking records. Now, I think our top record was the 12-hour election coverage. I mean, given that it was 12 hours long, it was bound to happen. But On our live shows on normal islands, we probably get 50 to 70, on a good day around 100 concurrent viewers. But on YouTube alone, we're 256. So I want to thank so many people, all you newcomers and all you existing viewers. Thank you. And I feel like it's a really good time to maybe plug ourselves. If you don't know who we are called Turn Left. We are a socialist media organization. If you like what we do and you want to support Turn Left's growth, please share this video, spread the word to your friends and family, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Now, right now, there are 5 of us working as volunteers. We don't get paid for this. But our goal is one day to make this our full-time work. Now, our Turn Left website is down. Shock. But you can go to patreon.com/turnleftmedia. There you can support us monthly for £3 or £5 per month. Your support will help us upgrade our equipment. If my audio's sounding bad, we're going to get a tech guy or whatever. We'll fix that. We can create more ambitious content and ultimately build a dedicated studio. Let's create a socialist media alternative together. Thank you. I think we're going to go to some of our comments. It's been very busy in the chat, and I'm loving this. So what do we have? Becca A, good to see you. I think Turn Left has a younger crew and Turn Left has more regional hosts, which I enjoy, just in my opinion. Thank you for saying we're young. I mean, I won't dare ask how old you think I am. You can guess. I won't get offended. I think we're a young crew. I'd say the audio sounds fine, my side. Good to hear. We got called London-centric the other day, right? And I know there's a lot of left-wing outlets that are London-centric. What I will say is, yeah, I'm from the south, right? I've never lived in London. I'm actually from Bristol. But I live in Leeds. We've got another contributor who is from the north, another contributor who lives in the north, and another contributor who lives and was from the north. So we're actually quite northern-centric in a way, and I wouldn't have it any different. Let's go to another one. FSM is the dog. You are the dog. I would never do that again. Sorry, I think it's the boy band jacket that's got me doing that. Starmer knows he's guilty too. Oh, of course he does. Oh, of course. They all know they're guilty. Would you see them act this way?
It's mad to me that he's a former human rights lawyer. Like, he knows.
Former human rights lawyer.
He knows exactly
precisely
what's going on with this, and yet he's prepared to. I mean, so that he can institute what policy exactly? He just wants power for the sake of power, and he's prepared to build his shit neoliberal state on the bodies of the Palestinian people. Like, why did you bother? Why did you work hard as a human rights lawyer defending some really good cases? He was one of the McLibel lawyers, for instance. Like, he had a genuine passion, I think, as a younger man for, social justice on some level, and he's just turned into an absolute ghoul.
I mean, and I don't think for him, like, some people get bought out in other ways. For him, it's his love for power, or it's his love for being that bitch in power. I'm not going to go into the Starmer fetish again. That caused a ruckus last time. But, like, he likes being the little servant for power. Oh, I support the powerful. Like, legit, I think that's what it is for Keir Starmer. For others, I don't know, cowardice, disgraceful, whatever. They're not good people.
It's a lack of moral fibre, frankly.
There's no moral fibre.
Yeah.
Sailor Jerry Swallow, thank you so much for $2. Really appreciate that. I just subbed. Great show. Thank you. Welcome aboard. I'm sure we've got some more. Panicking on. I agree with both of you, but I've seen people piggyback the pro-PAL movement for genuine anti-Semitism. I have seen that. Yeah. One example is Jackson Hinkle. Is it Hinkle?
Yeah.
He was like, what's weird, in 2016, he was like a Bernie bro. He was like a centre-left. Yeah, he seemed all right. And then he went full MAGA communism.
Well, before that even, he was just like a basic bitch lib. He's had a really interesting political journey, by which I mean he has absolutely no principles about him whatsoever.
He has 0 principles. To be a bicycle in politics, to go from so many different political persuasions is insane. It happens. And, like, he's a MAGA communist, right? He supports Trump now. And he definitely has jumped on the pro-Palestinian bandwagon because,
because you get to attack Jewish people from behind.
Yeah, Candace Owens is another one as well.
A screen of plausible deniability.
However, I will say is the overwhelming majority of people who stand with Palestine are not anti-Semitic.
Oh God, yeah.
Fuck them. Fuck the mainstream media who say that. Zeke da Beast, I'd probably say I won't arrest him, and then when he comes, arrest him. That would be quite funny, actually. It's like, oh no, you're safe here. Come on, come to our shore. Come to our shore. Bang, arrested. Unfortunately, he wouldn't fall for that trap.
No, what we need to do is lay a trail of Sabra hummus across the entire continent and just lure him in. That's what you need to do.
Jacqueline Jack H. Now, I don't know if this is sarcastic or not, but it says, I got the wrong end of the stick. I thought Michael Walker was the guest, but Kev is fine. Kev is fine? He's far better than fine. He's fantastic, Harvey, no?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I was confused because it had in the tweet earlier advertising it, we're on tonight with Kevin Logan, and it was a picture of you and Michael Walker, and I thought, not all us white guys look exactly the same. This is an outrageous microaggression.
Yeah, maybe that was a poor editorial choice on my end. I thought people would have knew we were talking about Novara. Or, well, not yet. We will talk about Novara, but no, he's not the guest unless he's like behind me or something. Kieran Buckley, Hungary isn't obeying international law and letting Netanyahu into their country. Shame on them. Fucking shame on them. But I mean, I'm not surprised. It's Hungary.
I genuinely don't know why Hungary... Well, I do know why practically, but morally speaking, why Hungary, or indeed Poland, are even still allowed in the European Union. They're ridiculous that that's allowed. Mad.
Any EU experts, is there a material or economic reason why they're in there?
Well, it's economic, yeah, of course.
I mean, it has to be economic, but yeah.
But morally speaking, Hungary isn't a democracy. It's massively anti-Semitic. And Poland, whilst it still has some vestiges of democracy, is one of the most homophobic, anti-women's rights countries in the entirety of modern Europe. It's ridiculous.
Jacqueline again, yay, finally managed to join the Turn Left YouTube membership. Just needs to do it on a different device. For some reason, wouldn't allow me to do so on this device. Oh, yeah, I did see you say that last time. Don't know why it's done that, but thank you and welcome to the YouTube membership. Kieran again. Oh, no, that's the same comment. We'll go to another one. Or was that all? That is all. That was a lot of comments, and actually I can't keep up with them because there's so many people in there. I'm wondering if people are trying to guess my age, which, I mean, the fact that I said that the second time is almost like I'm begging you to do it.
Well, my chat did, and out of respect, I won't repeat the nonsense.
Okay. I also want to let people know that we are on Blue Sky. The link is pinned in, is the pinned comment in the chat. But we are going to move on because we've got two more stories, and they're big ones. So, Keir Starmer has said the quiet part out loud on Twitter as he mentions BlackRock. I'm determined to deliver growth, create wealth, and put more money in people's pockets. This can only be achieved by working in partnership with leading businesses like BlackRock to capitalise on the UK's position as a world-leading hub for investment. I mean, BlackRock is the biggest asset management company in the world. As the world's largest asset manager with around 10 trillion under management, BlackRock is among the most powerful financial institutions on the planet. To many, it is also the most evil because it continues to pump billions into fossil fuels and arms companies, and its reach extends into almost every aspect of the economy and society. Now, all large companies, by way of maximising profit, it leads to evil outcomes. But BlackRock is comically villainous. I mean, they have their hands everywhere. They want to literally own everything. And politicians are carving up our public assets and handing it to them on a plate. As you know, we also share the government's view that infrastructure investment can play a critical role in improving economic growth and productivity. We believe infrastructure is poised to become one of the fastest growing segments in private markets globally. As our chairman and CEO Larry Fink has recently written, private capital market financing combined with policy pragmatism are necessary to meet countries' infrastructure needs and thereby enhance economic growth and productivity. So that paragraph there outlines the role of privatization. Now, infrastructure, according to them, should be a market rather than being funded by the public. Kevin, what is Starmer doing? I mean, these are the sorts of things you keep quiet about, yet this man is so out of touch. He thinks celebrating BlackRock is supposed to go down well with people.
Yeah, well, I think we found out who they're selling the NHS to. It's BlackRock, clearly. The decision has been made. Wes Streeting has found his buyer of choice, and he's going to sell off the UK's assets to BlackRock, obviously. Yeah, Keir Starmer, once again, his famous political nous for not reading the room in any way whatsoever. Nobody likes BlackRock. Nobody. They are the absolute touchstone for moral bankruptcy. And just awful business practices, and yet they're the company that they pray in aid of. Like, what the hell are you doing? It's like he wants to lose the next election, or indeed become so unpopular that they oust him and he never gets to fight that next election. I don't know. He's genuinely one of the most incompetent twats I've ever seen. He's an embarrassment. Again, it's very telling that literally the day before this tweet came out, a group combining the Friends of the Earth and a conglomeration of indigenous peoples of the Amazon put a...
I read about that in a recent Canary article that's put up today.
Yeah, they put a complaint into the OECD about the business practices of BlackRock, saying that they were committing crimes against humanity. They were investing massively in deforestation, which is illegal, of the Amazon jungle, as well as any number of other things. They are involved in human rights atrocities on basically every continent except Antarctica, although I don't know if they're going after the penguins at some point. It wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, they're awful.
If they could privatise penguins, they would.
If you could privatise penguins, they absolutely would, yeah. As well as, of course, having $33 billion invested in Israel. So again, just up to their neck in the blood of innocent people, BlackRock. The idea that the supposedly socialist Labour Party and its leader and Prime Minister would pray in aid a company this atrocious just shows you how badly they've betrayed both the origins of the Labour movement and the modern working class. This is an absolute joke.
I was just going to say, the party is supposed to represent Labour. The clue is in the name.
Yeah.
No, the people in the Labour Party should be mortal enemies with companies like BlackRock.
Yeah.
They should be completely on the opposite side of the class divide. And I think we're never going to get change with Labour if these are the people they cozy up to. Our entire political system is just completely lost to capital, hasn't it?
Absolutely. You know, it was, what's the old line about, if you want to know who they oppose, notice which way the guns are pointed. No, he's not literally pointing guns, but the people he's attacking via his government are families with more than 2 children, poor pensioners, things like that. That, you know, he's happy to freeze pensioners whilst at the same time sucking up to BlackRock. Who is he serving here? Because it's not the British people, is it?
It's not the British people. It's capital, because Labour are capital Mark II. They're the capital B party.
They're the red Tories. There's literally no difference. And there is a much broader issue here. If you look at some of the polling recently, there's seen a massive jump in reform votes because people voted for change. He promised change. Now, if you actually look at the fine detail, you knew he wasn't going to change anything at all. But change was the big slogan. People wanted to get rid of the Tories. They wanted something different. And they're getting continuity Cameronism. It's just George Osborne and David Cameron economics all the way down. And people are sick of it. And so they're prepared to even vote for a fascist gobshite, a little hobgoblin motherfucker like Nigel Farage. They're prepared to go down that route. And that's terrifying, because he's an absolute monster. But this is what leads to the far right. We know that's what leads to the far right. If you hollow out the core of a nation and leave them no alternative, in extremis, people will act in extreme ways.
I mean, you mentioned earlier, is Starmer trying to lose the election? Right. But I swear to God, right, when I watch him, when I listen to him speak, when I see his decisions, it feels like he is actually trying. Now, I mean, it's what, 3-4 months into this government? Labour has pissed off everyone. Okay, they've pissed off pensioners.
Yeah.
They've, as you also mentioned, they refuse to scrap the 2-child benefit cap. Now, even though I support the policy of increasing or ending a tax break on rich farmland owners, they've pissed them off because I don't think they're offering any retail policies. Like they're saying we're going to make the hard decisions, but they're not then saying, but we're also doing this. And I think that leads to wide discontent.
Yeah.
You know, all right, yes, they're making decisions that are going to annoy farmers or farmland owners. All right, that's a political calculation they've made, one I largely support. But if they're not going to turn around and say, by the way, that we're going to use that money, put billions into the NHS and our public services, get rid of the private profiteers, people might go, well, that kind of makes sense. But they're pissing everyone off, and it feels like they're trying to lose the election.
It really
and
does.
Keir Starmer bringing up BlackRock just plainly on Twitter when it's kind of be it's not a secret. We know about the company, but politicians are supposed to pretend they're not in cahoots with them. And he's just tweeting, oh, BlackRock are fantastic, aren't they? I'm like,
yeah, it's interesting who they're making.
there's no political nous.
The ability of the Morgan McSweeney Labour Party is just ridiculous. They literally couldn't read the room if they tried, and they're not even really trying for the most part because they don't think they need to. They've managed to skate by and win a massive parliamentary landslide, if not necessarily a popular vote.
To quote
landslide.
Jeremy Corbyn, the loveless landslide, which he
exactly.
nailed it, by the way.
The loveless landslide, yeah. But by not having to do virtually anything, and they've continued to govern as they were in opposition with slogans, with mealy-mouthed nonsense. It's interesting who the difficult decisions fall against. The difficult decisions fall against people who want to travel on a bus, but not for the world's largest asset management company. Again, it tells you exactly adults in the room. It tells you who they're governing on behalf of, and it's not the people of Britain. It's BlackRock. That's who the government are there for. Government of BlackRock, by BlackRock, for BlackRock.
Well, at least we disposed of the jam man, so all is well.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think it's worth in the light of the previous stories we were talking about, just saying what a great, he was on the right side of history all along. Like he was literally there with. I mean, technically it's the ICJ case rather than the ICC case, but Jeremy Corbyn being a part of the South African delegation, which sort of raised the spectre of legal action against modern Israel. Again, just like with apartheid and just like with so many other things, he was ahead of the curve. And we could have had a bad bitch. And we could have had
a bad bitch who I actually think dressed pretty damn well. It's almost though he was so ahead of the curve. He was...
Well, because...
it's almost like we were never going to... I mean, look, I hated the idea that he was unelectable because he wasn't, but he didn't win, and it just feels like he was almost too good for us.
Honestly, we didn't deserve him. We really didn't. We're not prepared for it. Was it the old line about if in an age of deceit the truth becomes a crime? He exists in a Westminster world that is ruled by crooks, gangsters, criminals. And he stands out as a paragon of just decency. I'm not saying he's a fucking like an angel or perfect or anything like that. But just a decent human being who actually gave a shit about the nation and wanted it to be better for the people. And that's
he supports Arsenal, so he can't be a he can't be an angel.
Well, that is clearly true. Well, yeah, but I mean, so does Keir Starmer. But one of them takes tickets from big business, and one of them sits in the stands.
Yeah, true. One of them is actually a real football supporter. Yeah. Now, before we move on to our final segment, I can't believe this. I mean, we've got 441 concurrent viewers across Twitter and Facebook. Not there, and YouTube, and we've got 348 people watching on YouTube. This is now our highest ever. It's higher than our 12-hour election coverage. Of course, I do feel like the last story has a lot to do with it, but I still want to thank everyone who's joined. If you're new to here, we're a socialist media organisation. We're a bunch of volunteers, but hopefully one day we can change that so we get paid for our work and we actually can go live every day, not just three or four times a week. But yeah, please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the like button, share it, big us up. That will be very helpful. But we are going to move on to our last story, and it's probably going to be the biggest one out of all of them in terms of length. So I hope you are lock and loaded, shall I say. Now, before we get into the segment, I do just want to say this. What we're going to discuss isn't something we usually cover on Turn Left. We're talking about Novara Media. Now, if you know me, you know I'm a big supporter of Novara. I value their contributions and admire many of their contributors. I rarely criticise other left-wing organisations, because with the rise of fascism and increasing right-wing voices, I am so sick of infighting over issues that don't seem significant. However, this issue feels too big to ignore. Now, there is also an elephant in the room. Myself and Kevin share a really good mutual friend, Helena. You will know her as No Justice MTG. Now, I'm sure most viewers are all aware that Helena is a frequent guest on Novara, and very recently, she's now one of their hosts. Now, none of this is a reflection on Helena. Kevin has also said the same thing on his recent stream. This is not an attack on some really good contributors, past and present, at Novara Media. This in particular concerns regular Novara Live host Michael Walker. Now, Michael Walker irked many viewers at the beginning of the week when he posted a segment of Novara Live with Ash Sarkar, where he discussed the left and whether we are out of touch. Now, there were some things I agreed with. I agreed with a lot of it. But my biggest criticism is that the online discourse feels so overplayed. And I think Michael Walker probably leans into that a bit too much. I feel like this transcends political factions. People can be quite unreasonable online. I can say that because I've been unreasonable myself. I still am sometimes. You don't get to fully convey your emotions, so you often misconstrue what people are trying to say through text. Plus, there's a character limit. So it's not a real place for nuanced discussion. It just becomes clapping back at people. Now, when you base much of your opinion on social media activity, then yeah, online leftists can come across as purists. Over the years, there has been a fair bit of criticism of Novara. Some fair, some probably not. Now, I've seen people call Aaron Bastani and Michael Walker centrists, and if you ask me, I don't really care about that stuff. That's not something I want to get involved with. Well, that's going to change. Only for today, maybe. This week, Michael wrote a tweet which has caused a big controversy. Well, I feel that it can't be ignored. So Michael Walker made a tweet in response to other people, and I'm going to read their responses or their initial tweets first. I want to say clearly that Michael Walker lumping left-wing fringe ideas on gender into his arguments is revolting and also telling. It is the radical TERF transphobes that are consistently shown to be the fringe, while polling repeatedly bears that the public are largely unfussed. I forgot who it was, but I'm pretty sure a prominent TERF recently went on record saying the whole fairness in sports thing is literally just a tactical wedge that they found worked on uncritical liberals. He's just falling for that. Yeah, lots of people in media pretend not to understand things. He is not one of them. This was Michael's response. The reason the fairness in sports thing is a successful tactical wedge is because it's where TERFs have a point. TERFs also have a bunch of fringe and unpleasant ideas which should see them isolated, but they get a free pass because anyone sympathetic to trans rights but who thinks there could be some conflict between trans rights and women's rights in certain domains is labelled a revolting TERF and never wants to speak on the issue again. Now, I, for one, think that TERFs do not ever have a point. Many of us on the left don't see a conflict between trans rights and women's rights. In fact, that idea is peddled from the right wing. It is a transphobic trope. We also know that trans women are not dominating any sport, so it's clearly, again, a talking point from the right, which we shouldn't, I repeat, shouldn't capitulate on. Now, this wasn't the original tweet. Michael actually wrote something else before deleting. The reason the fairness in sports thing is a successful tactical wedge is because it's where TERFs have a point. TERFs also have a bunch of fringe and unpleasant ideas which should see them isolated, but they get a free pass because anyone sympathetic to trans rights but not fully signed up to the entire menu of trans rights activist doctrine gets labelled a revolting TERF and never wants to speak on the issue again. Now, the use of the phrase trans rights activist doctrine to me is stepping way over the mark. That is a classic transphobic term. This is shocking because trans, non-binary and queer people are not an ideology. They're just people. I mean, the right has tried to frame trans rights as an ideology, and using a phrase like TRA doctrine plays into that harmful narrative. Now, even though Michael deleted the tweet, the fact that he typed it and posted it makes me think this is a really big problem. Now, we wouldn't say that gay people are an ideology and that being standing up for gay people too much buys into the gay rights doctrine. No one would say that. They wouldn't say it with black people. They wouldn't say it with Jewish people. So why is it okay for trans people? Kevin, there is much to discuss here. I want to start off by just getting your reaction.
As to the initial discussion between Michael and Ash, I actually thought there were some good points raised. I thought it was a worthwhile discussion to have, even if with the bits that I disagreed with. I think it's good that we talk about these things and keep ourselves in check, because there are things we believe that aren't necessarily easy to understand, and we don't always communicate them very well. So we don't want to find ourselves drifting from working class opinion in some kind of crazy, purity spiraling way. Of course not. And so I think that's a perfectly worthwhile discussion to have. I think his conflation of, over concentration on gender issues as opposed to working class issues or whatever is to betray an underlying problem I think he has, which we'll get to with the tweet in a second. There's no conflict between trans rights and working class people's emancipation, because trans people are a part of working class emancipation. They are often much poorer than their cis compatriots. So it's not a matter in the same way that women are generally poorer, and so therefore feminism is not at odds with working class emancipation. It's clearly a ridiculous notion. But of course, in terms of the way we talk about things, that's always up for debate to one extent or another. What I cannot abide is bigotry. And that's unfortunately what I think we saw from Michael. I don't want to have to say that because it hurts me to say that. I think Michael's made some interesting contributions to some real topics, and I think Novara Media is a genuinely worthwhile force that unfortunately I'm not entirely comfortable supporting going forward, I have to say. Michael's use of, as you say, TRA doctrine, it sort of echoes the gay agenda type propaganda that we saw during the 80s and 90s. It's the kind of rehashing of turf bullshit, which I will not fucking tolerate. The fact that that's like in his lexicon is concerning. I'm glad that he deleted it and reposted something else, because that's a massive red flag. But like I said, the fact that he would even think to use that topic, it would never even enter my mind to use something like that, because it's just so nakedly a turf way of talking about things. I mean, what next? Is he going to start talking about AGP or whatever? It's ridiculous garbage. I don't want to say he's doing a why I left the left grift type thing, because I think it's too early to necessarily say that, but there does appear to be some distancing from himself and to an extent from Mehran Bastani as well, in terms of their opinions compared to all of the other people that I know that either work for or have contributed to Novara Media. So that's really disappointing. I'm genuinely not comfortable with Novara going forward. I'm not writing them off as like being forever tainted or anything nonsense like that, but like I'm very, very concerned about that. The fact that they then platformed Anna Kasparian, who is just a turf at this point, just a right-wing grifty turf piece of garbage.
I do want to speak about Anna Kasparian because kind of to top off the entire controversy, after he made that tweet, thought it was okay. To be fair to them, maybe they had this interview set up further in advance. Anna Kasparian is from the US. She's quite a significant figure. Yeah, it might not have been done later on, but still, like, the optics is really bad. He makes a tweet which I think is personally transphobic, and then has Anna Kasparian on. Now, Anna Kasparian is someone who I have very little time for, because I feel like she has turned into transphobia, and she blamed a lot of the left for fixating on so-called woke issues. It's what the liberals have gaslit everyone else. I mean, if you look at the election in America, all the liberals saying the Democrats were too woke, they weren't at all. Yeah. But it's these people who are fixating on so-called woke issues. Anna Kasparian made a whole segment because she was uncomfortable with the term birthing person. But not only did she make an entire segment of it, she then attacked people on Twitter who criticised her fairly. And now it's shifted her down this other new rabbit hole. And I watched that interview, and I was disappointed that Michael Walker didn't push back on anything. I was very happy.
I was disgusted with it. I was genuinely disgusted. I watched it live, live reacted to it on stream. I was disgusted by it. The idea that a leftist media organisation, would have someone on who was being controversial in recent times. I mean, they have been controversial forever, I guess, but like much more so recently with her rightward shift. And to have them on and to have them explain this guff without any real pushback whatsoever, just absurd assertions from Anna Kasparian about the Democrats focusing too much on gender issues, when actually I would argue that Kamala Harris threw trans people under the bus to some extent in order to try and court, social conservatives, which didn't work, obviously. Which again is not the lesson that Democrats will learn from this, unfortunately. But there we go.
Sorry, just to quickly cut you off, because I just seen a comment and I just want to quickly respond to it, if I may, and I'll allow you to continue. Chris Marco says, "What the hell? Feminism is an ideology. Queer theory is an ideology. Getting so tired of these schisms on the left." Yeah, but we don't say that women are an ideology. So, queer. You could say queerness. I don't think queerness is an ideology. I would say feminism is an ideology because it's about what you want to do in order to improve lives for women. But being trans isn't an ideology. You're just transgender. So I feel like you're getting mixed up here, and actually you're creating a schism on the left where it doesn't need to be. Again, being trans isn't an ideology. That would be tantamount to saying women is an ideology, but you've conflated feminism is an ideology, which I agree with, to trans people being an ideology. So sorry, I just wanted to respond to that.
That's absolutely fine. Trans people exist, and actually, to go back to the Michael Walker tweet, when you say that this is an issue where TERFs have a point, do tell me what that point is exactly. I really don't see that there is one. Trans women are women. So if they want to play in sport, they would play in the women's divisions of sport. And secondly, there isn't some great amount of trans people dominating sport. That isn't a thing that's happening. Just like the supposed epidemic of trans people raping women in women's prisons isn't actually a thing. Actually, they're much more likely to be sexually assaulted by cis male guards and by cis female inmates. That's what's likely to happen in prisons, and I don't hear you giving a fuck about that. And not Michael Walker, TERFs more broadly, caring about stuff like that. So what exactly is the point that you think that TERFs have here? Because I'm really missing it, if I'm entirely honest with you.
I mean, to try and break it apart, I think he's trying to say there could be a conflict between trans women competing in sports and cis women competing in sports. And I have heard that discussion, like good faith discussions, among queer people, and they do discuss that. But he kind of then said, and if you question that, you're accused of being a massive TERF. And I was like, but I don't think that's the case. However, I mean, the conversations I've had is that there really isn't a conflict. I mean, if there was a conflict, as I alluded to earlier, you would get trans women just dominating all sports.
Exactly, yeah.
But that's not happening. So he's giving credit to an idea that shouldn't be there. And I would like for a leftist to say, here's why this issue of the TERFs having a point, here's why they don't have a point, and then this is why. So it sounds like he buys into this idea that there is a conflict between trans women and women.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. That's why you get accused of being a TERF, because you platform a TERF, she says TERFy shit, and you don't push back on it. Like, it's the old thing, if there are, was it 10 Nazis at a table and you go and sit there, you now have 11 Nazis at a table. Like, you're not pushing back against that. You've become a part of that. That's the thing. It's so sad to see. It genuinely is, because I like Novara Media, but this is like, again, I just want to ask, like, what point do you think the TERFs have exactly? We know that this is a wedge issue that they try and use. We know that the TERF movement is funded by the very people we are against. It's dark money interests, it's social conservative, religious, or authoritarians, largely from the United States. We know that the LGB Alliance is funded and supported largely by cis people. It's cis straight people. It's so disappointing because, and this is sort of broader than just Michael Walker now, but to anyone either on the left or even liberals who are thinking of like throwing trans people under the bus because they think it's politically expedient to do so, you're not my fucking friend or ally. I'm not interested in what you have to say. I don't want to be a part of a movement with you. If you're prepared to jettison people on the altar of expedience, then I can't trust that you wouldn't do that with me or you or anyone else. I can't trust you. You have shown yourself to be disreputable, dishonest.
I mean, it doesn't even work as a strategy, though. I mean, the
No.
right will never go, oh, you're a little bit transphobic or you said something transphobic. That's all right there. No, they will continue to attack. So giving ground, I think, is not only immoral, but it doesn't work. No, look.
We've literally seen with people like Brianna Wu, they're all doing the, oh, I thought the leopards wouldn't eat my face routine. Because they realised, oh, they tried to be one of the good ones, they tried to do the pick-me routine, and they realised, oh, I'm not going to be the last one on the cattle trucks, they're just going to throw us all on there anyway.
Look, in the 4 years of this channel being around, we've never attacked Novara or other leftist media organisations. And the reason is I don't want to create inter-left fighting. I don't want to create drama for clicks and to gain popularity. But for me, being on the left, you have to have basic solidarity. And I feel as though Michael Walker, whether he wanted to or not, threw trans people under the bus, and it has to be called out. I mean, look, the world is becoming scarier, especially for trans people. So at least what we can do on the left is to have a space for those that, you know, just for a second won't feel quite as shit as usual, and that there are people out there who have their backs. Because, look, I'm not here saying, you know, Mike Walker is transphobic, cancel him. That's for other people to decide. But I do think it's clear that what he said was transphobic. And my worry is if we don't have this conversation, if we don't call it out, it could get worse.
Yeah. This is sort of the point. At a time of increased transphobia, both in the United States and here in the UK, where you have rabid turf gobshites like Wesley Streeting, who, in addition to trying to sell off and privatise the NHS, is also trying to deny healthcare to trans people, where we've seen a rise in transphobic attacks, transphobic murders, etc. And we're literally the leader of the opposition, and therefore one of the people most likely to become Prime Minister, although I don't think she will, in Kemi Bad Enoch, as the leader of the Conservative Party, who is just a rabid culture warrior, transphobe piece of garbage. To pile on to that with shit like, oh, the TERFs have a point, and TRA doctrine, and you know, maybe we should distance ourselves from this gender ideology stuff at the same time that all of that wider context is taking place is a pretty disgusting thing to do. If the left is to stand for anything, surely it is solidarity with the oppressed. It is solidarity with those who are downtrodden. It's for the liberation of human beings. And if you're not standing for that, then are you on the left? That's something you need to look inside yourself about.
There's, I mean, the chat is very busy, and there's a wide range of opinions, and that is fine. No one's getting cancelled here if you disagree. By the way, this is why. This is why we made this.
Say on a broader point, if you do disagree with me, come over to my channel. I'm happy to talk to you about it. That's absolutely.
Well, there you go.
fine.
There's an invitation to debate, but this is why we made this quite a big segment. It's because we didn't want to go, oh, Novara said this, fuck Novara, we're purists. No, I wanted to have a sensible discussion about what transpired. And also to, as I've said multiple times, this isn't to try and dunk on Novara and cancel them. I still like Novara Media, and I still very much support a lot of what they do. And I'm sure there might be some Novara Media people in here who've come over, but I just think, you know, I think this thing needs to be called out.
It does, and I just from like a business point of view, from Novara Media, like when I did my segment on this and showed the things that Michael had tweeted, I know various people in my chat who literally said that they'd unsubscribed from Novara Media. It's not a long-term business strategy if you're on the left to come out as turfy. It doesn't work. People don't want it. It's not a thing that they're prepared to accept.
Yeah.
So again, I mean, I'm not saying you should like sell out anything you believe for money or whatever, but like you claim to be a leftist organisation, and I think it's reasonable to hold you to that standard. And of course, it means that you'll have an ongoing concern. Whereas if you don't, you won't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Turn Left is a very much of a unity project, right? It doesn't capitulate on our views, but we don't. I think there are some people who are very quick to attack anything left wing to make themselves look like the most pure left wing outlet, and I don't do that. Again, this is why in the 4 years of Turn Left existing, first we've ever criticised Novara. So I mean, look, I don't know if anyone from Novara is watching this. I doubt it. We're not big enough, but I would happily have a discussion with Michael Walker. He can come on the show, and we'll discuss it like adults, by the way. So I think it's important to discuss that.
And you've already got the thumbnail for it if it did happen.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't have to make another thumbnail.
Exactly.
I actually want to apologise for that because people did say like, oh my god, I thought Michael was going to be on there.
And they came and they came in and saw me and went, Michael's let himself go.
Michael's let himself go. He didn't know he had a beard. I mean, to be fair, you got longer hair than he has. I don't know if you can grow that length of hair. So,
sure. Imagine that they come in, they think he's got a wig on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is all in good faith, whilst also standing in solidarity with minorities. And there's he's more than welcome to come on, or more than welcome to have a discussion off camera that has, to not do it for views and stuff. I'm absolutely behind that. Now I think we'll wrap up there because that was a long show, nearly 2 hours. People might be getting a little bit fatigued. That was a big show. I want to thank everyone who joined us, and of course, I want to thank our brilliant guest Kevin. Now, again, I can't believe how many people watching. We have 500 people watching concurrently. This is our peak. So if you haven't liked the stream, please make sure you do that. It will help with the algorithm. I welcome people that disagree with me in the chat. You are welcome, as long as you're not bigoted or insult anyone. You could be as right-wing as you want. I don't care. I love debate. Now, if you want to see Turn Left continue to grow, then make sure you share this video online, tell your friends and family about us, and if you've not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button. There are currently 5 of us working voluntarily, right? We don't get paid for any of this, but we want to become a media organisation where we're paid for our work and we're full-time. Again, this would mean we can get better equipment. It means we can sort out mic issues. We can make more ambitious content. I mean, we've done interviews before. We've had 2 with Jeremy Corbyn, 1 with Zach Palansky, some impressive people we've had on before, but I live in the north. It costs a lot of money to get the train down, to hire out a studio, equipment, all that sort of stuff. So we want to do more of that content. We want to do more Vox Pops. Again, if you haven't seen of our Vox Pops, check it out. We've spoke to people in the streets, really good fun. But we want to do that maybe weekly. Then we also want a studio where some of us aren't in our bedrooms hosting Normal One Live. I'm not calling anyone out in particular, but I think you know who you are. Let's build a socialist media alternative. Thank you. For now, our website is down. So if you want to financially support us, you can head to patreon.com/turnleftmedia. You can also follow us on Blue Sky. The link is the pinned comment in the chat. We'll be back this Sunday for our debrief podcast, so tune into that. I'm Curtis Daly. Thank you so much to everyone, and I'll see you next time.
The media support social justice that's there on
Mein
social media.
Führer!
Thank you. Turn left.
I had to do it, chat. I had to do it. It's a tradition. As old as time itself.
I knew you'd be straight in the comments straight away.
Yeah, I know. There's loads, though, isn't there? I mean, I get a bit disappointed when someone goes, "Oh, I've been a big watcher for yours, and I don't like what you're doing." So one guy's like, "I've loved Turn Left, but then if he wants to leave the channel because I'm standing up for trans people, then what am I going to do with that?" I can't believe that though. Like that is fucking 500 viewers.
Oh look, they call me the big ticket. What can I say? I bring
Kev,
all the boys to the
should
yard.
You should be the guest every week, so every day, so you bring in the viewers.
Yeah, my milkshake brings all of them to the yard.
Yeah. How do you think that went today?
Yeah, that was alright. I liked it. I thought we both there was a good flow.
I thought it was a really good show. I know I'm down here in the little box. I can't figure out how to put myself on the screen, but it's fine. No, I thought it was a really good show. It flowed really well. Do you know what's funny about watching this? And I know I'm saying this, being very aware that Kevin's obviously streaming, is that obviously we want to approach this topic very carefully, as you explained, and there's no need to explain it again. But obviously, we don't know specifically how much people wanted to come and watch because of the Michael Walker topic. But do you see what incentives are in place if you do infight? Because you get viewers.
Yeah.
And this is it, isn't it?
That's why I said I'm not doing this for views and clicks, being fully aware that this show might do well, but that's also not to say, well, I'm not going to do it then. It's just that I think, I don't have much respect for any individual or channel that dunks on. I mean, dunk on the right all you want, love that shit, but dunk on a fellow leftists just because they know it's going to get them clicks and shit. Do it if you really believe it. And I mean, if you're just an individual person, I guess it's different. But for Turn Left, I'm so sick of infighting and stuff that I would only call out other left organisations if I feel like it's warranted, and not just do it because we're the new kid in town. I don't want that. It's not my jam. I care more about the broader left and what we can do rather than boosting our channel. The most important thing is changing politics for the better, rather than be like, oh, maybe we could become more popular if we become more of a drama channel. That would be good for us, maybe, but I care about politics and drama.
And that's it. There are people out there who probably have started many channels and done many videos on many topics, and then they stumble across something that involves a little bit of drama. They see the reaction they get from it, and they're like, "Ooh, I'm going to do more of this." And this is how it all starts. And this is why I think there's some use to it, but I hate the debate space online, because that's how that space formed, right? Because it's all about pitting all these people who are debating against each other, creating drama, and then somebody's streaming, and then they're watching another person, and they're criticizing them, and then they both debate each other because they know it's going to get all these crazy numbers, and it just ends up being all this infighting, and people are just incentivized by it because it gets views, and I think it's really interesting to see that.
Yeah, it's the algorithm incentivizes it. Yeah, entire careers have been made on drama.
Yeah, well, yeah, I can't remember who it was specifically who originally said it, but that is a quote from an author somewhere where it's the algorithm is. No, what's it? Oh, I can't get my fucking words out. The algorithm's incentivized by outrage. And it's absolutely true. That's why for years when Facebook was actually dominating at one point, and that was the main medium, that everyone was saying, oh, left-wing media, but if you actually looked at the trending topics most of the time, I'm pretty sure it's still true to this day, especially with the demographic on Facebook, it was always right-wing media talking points and stories that were always dominating, because it was always based off of outrage.
Well, and of course the dark money that's pumped into Ben Shapiro and stuff, getting him trending on those sites.
Wait, Tim Paul and his lovely fucking Kremlin money.
Do you know what story I want more information on? I want more information on Tucker Carlson and Jordan Peterson with the whole Justin Trudeau thing at the committee in Canada, saying that he has evidence that they've seen intelligence that they might be receiving money from Russia, which is wild.
That doesn't surprise me in the slightest. Yeah, look, he went there and fucking got to interview Vladimir Putin. That doesn't happen by accident.
Exactly. It was such a softball fucking interview.
Did you remember the interview though? Putin was just like, "Who's this kiss ass?"
Yeah, and he was and then went into a mad rant for 10 minutes about the minutiae of Russian history. I'm just like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is a fever dream I'm having. What is this?
Damn, our total viewership is already on 1.2k.
Oh, nice.
Stop obsessing over the numbers.
How can I not?
Stop obsessing.
But you do as well. You're terrible on TikTok. You're like, oh my god, that's it. My channel's ruined now because you didn't get another 1 million views. To be fair, you've done another banger, haven't you? So basically, whenever we post on Turn Left on TikTok, it fails. But whenever Michael, oh my god, Lewis, does a TikTok, it gets like thousands of views, and one of them hit 1.3 million.
Oh, nice! What was it about?
I It was. I can't remember. It was a story relating to Israel. I can't remember what the story was.
Oh, anti-Semitism, I see.
Yeah, yeah, you
That's it.
anti-Semite. It was
Fucking
called "Can I
anti-Semite.
Get a Fuck Israel?"
Really? Oh, nice. Oh, nice.
I can't remember what the story was.
Someone called up the right stuff. Was it this morning? And it was like,
yeah,
fuck
it's,
Israel, free Palestine. And I was like, whoever this person is, I just cheers.
fair play.
If I had a pint in my hand, I'd cheers you.
Do you know what was really nice actually this morning? I usually sometimes listen to I've literally forgotten his name, James O'Brien, on his podcast.
Centrist.
Oh, piss off! I like
Shit,
to.
noob.
I like to hear the.
Why'd you get so defensive then? Oh, piss off.
No, because I like to hear the conversations that people are having, and I knew this morning. I never listened to it live, but I knew this morning his first topic would be the ICC arrest warrants, right?
Yeah.
So he wanted to invite people onto the show to ask them why they think like it's all a sham, essentially, or it's why they might think it's not like legal or blah 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 blah. He wanted people to come up and criticize it, but the first person who actually got through, I was so happy because it set the precedent for the entire conversation. They mentioned that that Jewish lawyer who was involved in the proceeding of the case. I can't remember his name, but basically when Karim Khan was wanting to prosecute the case, he went to a round table of legal experts first, and one of the people was a 94-year-old like academic scholar, former judge, Holocaust surviving Jewish guy. And I can't remember if he was Israeli, so I don't want to say that. And he was like yeah, like, you've got legal precedent for this. Like, I agree with it. And I don't like to weaponize people because, like, oh, he's Jewish, so he agrees, therefore they're right. But I think in the context of, like, this is a academic who is Jewish, who's a Holocaust survivor. In this case, it obviously just absolutely just says a big fuck you to people like Benjamin Netanyahu who are saying, oh, it's anti-Semitic. And I'm really glad that that was the first call that came through, because it just kind of like set the tone of the conversation of like, you can't just call up and be like, oh, it's anti-Semitic, it's anti-Semitic.
Yeah, I bet they.
I suppose
people did,
much of
though.
the media's ignored it apart from James O'Brien.
Yeah,
I'll always have a disdain for that man.
Yes. Well, I mean, I want someone to ring up and say, like, have you seen the polling, James? I think if Labour were run by anybody else, they'd be 20 points clear. Yeah.
If any other leader was, if anyone else was leader, it'd be 20 points ahead, wouldn't they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I think over the last year he's provided a really important platform on his show to talk about that topic, because he's the only person I've seen consistently actually talk about it.
But I was disgusted. The fucking Question Time didn't even raise the topic yesterday.
Oh,
Did they not?
really?
It didn't even. It wasn't even a topic at all. They had 4 questions, nothing about Israel.
Question Time is absolutely fucking
It's
shite,
garbage.
though.
Well, exactly.
I stopped.
There's no
I
need
quit
to
it,
lie
like, years
if you
ago.
just don't talk about it. You know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I literally like quit because I found myself getting too angry.
Well, I mean, Helena and I watch it regularly on.
You watch all the time. I don't
on
know how you
stream on
two do it,
Thursday. It's all about the dollary doos.
the didgeridoo.
It doesn't do numbers at all. It's shit. But it's good political slop, I guess.
It is political slop, though, isn't it? Question
Yeah.
Time. It really is slop.
Yeah.
Just to answer your question from 5 minutes ago, the video was about Ireland and Spain trying to find ways to cease trade with Israel a few weeks ago.
Oh,
Really?
okay, cool.
Oh, based.
So, go Ireland and Spain.
True. Okay, then I'm gonna get off, I reckon.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are
Thanks.
you going to get off to?
Well, I'm gonna replay this stream and listen to our sexy voices.
Oh, good.
Is it weird if you wank to yourself? It probably is, right? I reckon. Anyway.
I mean, that's a fucking quote on the internet that's out there.
It exists. It exists.
That
in its own
exists
space.
now.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back to this moment and just remember that you said that.
Brilliant. Okay, lads. Yeah, good show, and we'll do it another time. Yeah.
Yeah, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Much love to you. Bye bye.
Love you.
See you later.
Well, there you go. Chatty chat. How are we all? By the way, thank you to Bob for whatever the noise that was. I literally only just turned the alert box back on. Yeah. Is there anything else people want me to take a look at? This is your opportunity to get like suggestions in if you wanted to. Autokevophilia. That works. I am my own king. Oh, talking of Michael Walker.
Michael Walker, and on this Friday evening, I'm joined by Kieran Andreou. Kieran, how are you doing?
Michael, I have to say, I invariably find these...
What the... Do you smoke 70 a day? What is this? I don't know what the fuck's going on with that. James O'Brien. Let's have a look at Jimmy O'Brien.
Just to set the scene. Biden says ICC war crimes arrest warrant outrageous. You don't need to read further to be confident he's referring to the ones issued for Benjamin Netanyahu and his sacked Defence Minister Yoav Gallant. Right?
I did see that, yeah. Where are we? Bookmarks. Yes, here we go. So, Liane Mohammed, who was the main, or one of the main contenders for Wesley Streeting's seat at the general election, put out this little number. And remember, he only won by 500 votes, so it really wouldn't take much. I have sent a letter of complaint this week to the Electoral Commission and Redbridge Electoral Services outlining serious irregularities on the night of the count of the 5th of July in Ilford North, which is Wesley Streeting's seat, raising concerns regarding compliance with electoral law and guidance. I have retained Binham's LLP and Specialist King's Counsel on the issue and have asked the Electoral Commission to examine the activities of Redbridge Council. Intriguing. Very much a watch this space type dealio. Very interesting. It would be fantastic to see him booted out. Fucking wanker. 500 votes. Ilford, how could you? But it turns out Ilford might not have. So, we'll see. Don't forget, everybody, you can help me win by 500 votes, whatever the fuck that means, by subscribing to the channel or doing bits messages. You can subscribe with Amazon Prime. You can gift subs to the community. You can do super chats on the YouTubes and by the Streamlabs link below. You can become a member for 99 pence. You can give membership to the community, or you can do super chats, and I will read out all of the things. Kev, you got a fan on or something, Kev? I do have a fan on. I left the heating on, which means I'm probably going to have to remortgage my fucking house to pay for the heating that I left on. So I'm actually sweating slightly. But I've turned it off now, so don't worry.
Rather than the Hamas commander Mohammed Deif, who is believed to already be dead. Corrupt, in quotes, war crime charges are anti-Semitic hate, says Netanyahu. What is he worried about? Israeli leader faces arrest if he flies into Britain, on the front of the Times. Netanyahu faces arrest if he flies into Britain, in another article within the paper. ICC arrest warrant for Netanyahu over Gaza, and so it continues. This isn't an immediately obvious parallel to draw, but you know the Daily Telegraph journalist who claimed that she was being investigated by police for a non-crime hate incident, and then the police published the transcript of the interview, of the visit to her house, and it turned out she was being interviewed about a potential crime, hate crime incident. She doesn't immediately have a lot in common with Benjamin Netanyahu, but I found myself thinking in both...
Oh, Emily, just drop it in chat. I can take a look at it.
...cases, shouldn't we let the legal process take its course before we jump to extremely strong and pungent conclusions? Shouldn't we just wait and see what happens? And in the first instance, the police have revealed that they will not be pursuing a prosecution. The case has been dropped after a very cursory visit to her home. Whether or not the police have buckled under the weight of hysterical media coverage which completely ignored the misrepresentation or the misunderstanding of the facts, I do not know.
No, she lied. She just obviously lied.
But I always find myself, I don't know how, when did this become a naive position to adopt? You know, unless you're in a country where an adjudicated rapist president is trying to put an alleged sex offender in the Attorney General's office, unless you are living in the upside down, you wait for due process to take its course. You have faith in the rules-based order. You have to, because it's all that guards us against chaos. It's all that guards us against tyranny. Vladimir Putin has an arrest warrant from the International Criminal Court in place, which essentially confines him to the boundaries of Russia, with a couple of exceptions. He'd be welcome, I'm sure, in North Korea, if he hasn't been already. But it's what the rules-based international order does.
So where's Christ?
And then you investigate, you interrogate the allegation, and you find out whether or not it's true. 140 countries are signatories to the International Criminal Court.
Yeah. Law? What are you, a fucking liberal? Is one of the dumbest arguments that's ever been made, because literally everyone appeals to law at some point in some way. You know. Thank you, Emily. I'll check that out off stream. It looks like it might be interesting, but I don't know.
And although the predictability with which Benjamin Netanyahu cites anti-Semitism against this allegation that him and his former defence minister have effectively starved people in Gaza by preventing aid from making its way in, something that has been talked about.
I hope I don't get much hate for the criticisms of Novara earlier. Just out of interest, for people who were around then, how did you think I did? Did I make good points? Did I make them well? Only tell me good things. I don't want any real criticism. I'm only joking. No, give me your actual opinion. How do you think it went? I didn't want to go like crazy hard and just be like, fuck you, fuck you. Like, I didn't want to be like rude, or not too rude. He was rude, but like, I thought justifiably so. You were tame. Oh well, that doesn't sound very good. If it were me, I would have been much more pointed. Yeah, fair enough.
About now for years, you begin to wonder quite how you've ended up in this.
Moranok, what did Helena say on Novara yesterday? That's interesting. Remember that transphobic senator from last night where you mentioned her chin being huge? This is who I reminded of when I saw her. Okay. Phantom. You silly sausage. I mean, I'm not saying no. I'm just saying, like, silly sausage. I thought you and Curtis were a bit timid. Oh, really, Marcus? Okay. But how would you have preferred it to go? Yeah, Nancy Mace. Yes. Anyway.
Situation, or how we've ended up in this situation. Not just the warrants being issued, but also the entirely predictable response from people who have allowed Benjamin Netanyahu to achieve impunity. This is what those of us who worry that he is worse for Israel than for almost any other element of this whole sorry saga. That's what those of us have tried to explain, but the unswerving support for him is probably not in the best interest of Israel, have been worried about from the very start. Because you afford impunity to somebody who is...
I'll react to her on stream if you want. You can watch her final bit of Novara if you want. It's a good bit. Okay.
I mean, going to the Sarah McBride stuff that you were speaking about earlier, the reason why they've been able to do this, why the GOP have been so vociferous in making their very initial statement to be, oh, we're going to pass this very specific thing, attacking this one specific congressperson, is because they sense weakness. They sense weakness within the Democratic Party over splits over different issues, and they want to be able to make that divide further, right? So corporate Democrats, corporate establishment Democrats like Tom Swatsy in New York, immediately, as soon as the election was over, said the problem was we were too woke. We spent too much time defending trans people. And of course, that caused some splits in terms of the more kind of populist left of the Democratic Party and the mainstream centrists of the Democratic Party. And the Republicans go, well, if the Democrats are going to have these debates with amongst themselves, let's make sure that's center stage. Let's make sure that, rather than what the message should be coming from the Democratic Party and saying, look, the Republicans ran on the fact that we care more about identity issues than on economic policy, or instead of passing economic policy to help working class Americans, they're immediately starting to do performative nonsense, which would end up having to do genital inspections for people in Capitol Hill toilets, right? This should be the immediate message that you get. But of course, because corporate Democrats want this to be the conversation, they want it to be the conversation just as much as the GOP do, because they don't want to talk about economic populism. They don't want to talk about the Bernie Sanders messages that we had all of those years ago. The GOP are going to join forces with these people to make trans people the enemy. The issue, of course, is McBride's response of conceding this ground gets people nowhere. All it will do is make sure the Republicans push further and further and further to make things even harder and try and get further concessions, right? The more you try and concede on these bits and pieces, like, for example, on issues like prisons, for example, they won't stop. They won't say, oh, well, we've got these concessions, let's stop there. They'll go, no, these people are weak and let's push these things further. You have to stand your ground. You have to have convictions. And you have to, of course, use those positions to be able to talk about why they're being pushed. Bernie Sanders is somebody who has been continually socially progressive on all of these issues, on race, sexuality, gender, and on sex. And at no point has he ever felt like he needed to concede on these issues, yet still continually stand for the populist left-wing message on the economy that he's always stood for. There was an excellent clip of him speaking to students in the 90s that More Perfect Union shared on their social media platforms, of him saying about the Republican strategy is divide and rule. If you want tax breaks for billionaires, if you want there to be big pharma control over healthcare in the United States, what you do is you create an enemy. And you won't stop them from doing that by conceding. You won't, because again, they'll just push further.
Yeah, capitulation, appeasement doesn't work in any situation, right? Appeasement of a bully doesn't work because the bully doesn't have demands it wants met. It just wants to bully. It wants to be awful. That's what it does.
But what you have to do is take things back. During the election campaign, when Kamala Harris was asked about transgender issues, she just said, I want to obey the law. She didn't say, I want to obey the law, but also protect this community, but also specifically point out and say, there is no plan. There is no plan to help working class people from the Grand Old Party. There is nobody in the Republican Party who's talking about child tax credits or dealing with the housing crisis. Nobody's talking about that at all. But she just accepted the framing and left it at that, when Bernie Sanders would have been much better at pushing back on this same narrative. So have conviction. Don't concede. Don't look at the popularists, not populists, but popularists like David Shaw, who ran the Kamala Harris campaign saying, let's just appeal to median voter issues all the time and give up on these.
Yeah, the same people who lost to Donald Trump twice are telling us what we need to do in the future to win. Are you taking the fucking piss? Are you taking the piss? You had your chance, and you fucked it twice. And you nearly fucked it with Joe Biden as well. People forget how tight that was. Joe Biden didn't win by a fucking landslide. At least she got the Liz Cheney endorsement. Yeah, well, that's the thing. The time when she was actually popular, the time when she was actually doing well in the polls was when she was at her most progressive in the campaign. She'd gotten Tim Walz, progressive governor. She was pushing some reasonably progressive positions. They were on the front foot in terms of the discussion. Literally, they should have just continued to call them weird. They should have spent the entire election just going, they're weird. They're fucking weird. J.D. Vance shags couches, right? They should have just carried on with that shit. But instead, the fucking Hillary Clinton wing of the party got hold of it and went, no, you need to appeal to conservatives. And then no conservatives came over. But lots of people who are more progressive went, I'm not fucking voting for you. Not only are you doing a genocide, but you're going to carry on the same economic bullshit here. So go fuck yourself. Because Trump's vote didn't go up. Trump's vote didn't fucking increase. The Democrats' vote cratered. Because progressive people, when there's nothing here for me to vote for. Fuck this. You can't win over conservatives. They're not interested. When you start doing all of this fucked up shit about, like, we need to be so strong on the border, we need to out racism the GOP, they don't believe you. They don't believe you. The Conservatives are not going to vote for you. Anyone who would actually, that kind of rhetoric would appeal to, is never going to vote for a Democrat. So stop it.
Positions that we believe in just for short-term electoral gain, and they fucking lost. They lost by conceding on border issues, by conceding on trans issues, and even conceding on loads of economic messages as well, and palling around with Republicans like Liz Cheney. This was not a winning message. If we want to take some solace, is that Bernie Sanders did better in 2016 challenging Hillary Clinton after the failure of the Obama administration to make life better for ordinary working class Americans than he did in 2020 when fighting against Joe Biden, when the threat of Trump was the problem. In 2028, there will be no Trump. He will have served his 2 terms. Liberals can't be scared away by orange man bad anymore. There has to be a vision. There has to be a project for them to believe in. Literally. The time is now when people are disenchanted broadly across American society with what the corporate Democrats are laying down. They're not picking that up. We have to offer an alternative. There has to be an alternative from the left on economic populism. And to bring that...
Okay, Maria, who didn't turn up then? Because the numbers you can't argue with. We know that Trump's vote stayed basically the same over the last 3 election cycles. Well, actually, technically his numbers went up in 2022. In 2020, because there was the opening up of like postal voting and stuff like that. But his vote remained pretty stable. Not massively up or down. Whereas the Democrats lost, was it 12, 15 million votes, whatever it was in the end? Where did those people go to? Because we know they didn't turn up at the polls, so who the fuck are they? And why didn't they vote the way that they did previously? You know? White men. Well, I mean, no doubt she lost a lot of white men votes. And partly it's like, you know, racism and sexism. There's no doubt that plays a part in it. Of course it does. But a lot of progressive people didn't want to vote for the genocide. They just didn't want to vote for the fucking genocide. And you didn't give them enough of a reason to not care about that issue. Or you didn't give them enough to think like, well, the genocide is bad, but like $15 minimum wage or something like that. You know what I mean? They didn't Pokemon go to the polls. True. That's still Pokemon go to the polls. My favourite one. She tried to meme her way to the presidency and she's so bad at it. Where is it? This is underrated. This one. It's very much of its time. Is this Hillary Clinton? Oh my god.
I'm just chilling in Cedar Rapids. I'm just chilling in Cedar Rapids.
She's just chilling in Cedar Rapids. She's just chilling in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. It's fine. God. Oh, it's so cringe. Fuck me. I'm not relitigating it, I'm just laughing. I'm not relitigating anything, I just think it's funny that she was fucking shit.
Around to the United Kingdom and where we stand right now, that's exactly the position that we are in right here. Keir Starmer is polling 3% behind the Conservative Party at 25% at the recent poll just come out from More in Common. He's not popular. His party isn't popular, and while some measures in the budget did see some support, if there is no...
What that was, James, that was a Vine. Do you remember Vine? That was a thing that existed a long time ago. That she put out to be like, oh, I'm one of the kids. I'm just like one of the... I'm down with the kids. Pokemon, go fuck yourself, you know? God damn. Was there a cool Mara Harris one too? I don't know, but she was brat. She was brat, so it's fine.
Broad left-wing message to challenge the centrists in the Labour Party, the far right will be waiting in the wings. But people support our economic positions when polled, right? The Green Party are seeing a surge in support. So what we need to be doing, rather than having a pessimistic attitude and saying, oh, well, it looks like the right have won on all of these issues, we have capitulated. No, we need to challenge and be there to pick up the pieces when the Starmer project inevitably fails. When it inevitably fails, we need to be there with an alternative to what we're seeing. Whether or not we are organising in our trade unions on the ground within our communities at a local level, whether or not we are organising within the Labour Party to challenge the centrists in the party, no matter how much you think that that is a not particularly viable avenue, given the changes to how the Labour Party functions under Keir Starmer, whether or not you've chosen to do what I have done, which is to join the Green Party as a left-wing alternative, who have immediately been calling for things like a ceasefire in Gaza, who've been calling for public ownership of our water industry, and who have been calling for far more progressive economic positions that benefit working class people, that have been more radical in looking at increases.
She is good, isn't she? Honestly, I could just listen to No Justice MTG all day. She's really fucking good.
In the minimum wage, increases in trade union bargaining that Labour Party haven't touched, we can organise to have a real left-wing alternative as well. Now is the time. It's 5 years until the next elections. There are local elections coming up in future too. There are plenty of avenues that we have to enter the discourse, to be able to convince...
Oh, she'd be so good on BBC Question Time. That would be dope. That would be so good.
People that our positions are correct, given that we...
But they've had Ash Sarkar on before, so that's their limit in terms of like left-wing people ever. I think it's got to be like they have one left-wing person on for every 9 Nigel Farage appearances. So like the quote has been filled for the next 2 years.
We already have popular support for them. We all need to get ourselves out there and make sure we're campaigning. We did it in 2017. In 2017, Jeremy Corbyn was polling at around 30, just below 30% when there was the chicken coup to try and remove him as leader.
Chicken coup.
We got onto the streets. We talked to people. We met people where they were. We promised them.
That's okay. Mr. Peter Wood. Mr. Peter Wood.
We looked at them and said, here is our progressive economic platform to fix all the damage that austerity did. We can do that again.
Jordan.
The first thing is to get rid of the pessimism, is to think of what we could be doing if we organised. And the work for that starts now.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And like the one thing that we know politically is that...
God, she's fucking good. She's so good. Everyone go and follow No Justice MTG. She is the absolute shiz. I've said it.
So obviously unfit whether or not the corruption charges against him, which he has sought to avoid. I don't suppose he can accuse Israeli courts of being anti-Semitic, can he? But they're quite desperate to put him in the dock as well. And important.
He definitely would. Like, he would accuse... Look, if a fucking pigeon shat on him, he would accuse it of being anti-Semitic. It's the only response they have. It's the only response that these fucking warmongering twats have. Thank you for gigantifying a very strange emote there. Dick Penderin. Nice name.
Important point that is missed by almost every frothing right-wing commentator pretending or professing to be offended by this move today. I'll say that again. Israeli courts are desperate to get Benjamin Netanyahu into a dock as well. So I don't imagine he'll be able to accuse them of anti-Semitism, but frankly, I wouldn't put it past him. However, he's comfortable firing off a personal attack on the prosecutor as the adjudicated rapist soon to arrive in the White House who has failed to get the alleged sex offender into the Attorney General's office because new allegations of him...
I do like it when he occasionally says based things. And if he's going to spend the next 4 years saying the rapist when referring to Donald Trump, good. Yeah. No, that is the way that he should be referred to. 100%.
Emerged and Matt Gaetz has withdrawn from the field. His team, his allies, are calling for the court to be sanctioned, something that actually...
Hello there. Thank you for subscribing. No, fuck me. Journeying Jordan. That should not be that complicated a thing to say. And yet I bollocksed it up completely. You're very welcome. If someone else donates bits or a sub or whatever, then we get to a hype train, which will make me, honestly, mind-bogglingly erotic. That's how that works, I think, isn't it? I think so. I'm not sure.
And you may not know this, I didn't, has a precedent. So the problem with, well, I mean, goodness me, why wouldn't you want the legal process to be, why wouldn't you want justice to be seen to be done?
Because a Zionist person has no interest in justice being done, because they think there's like some bigger thing, there's some bigger justice of the greater Israel movement, and that literally any means justify that end. Any means. It's fucking grotesque. Thank you to Modernarca for resubscribing. Much love. We're on a hype train. If we get to level 2 of the hype train, I will finger my chances of ever appearing on Novara Media, because they are dead. No problem. Thank you for defending TRA doctrine. True. True. I am the gay agenda. This is true. Fact.
You see, I mean, this is the best opportunity for defenders of Netanyahu to prove that he's done nothing wrong. And of course, if your bias is so complete that you can't contemplate even the vaguest possibility that he's done something wrong, then you have to accuse the institutions of being unfit for purpose and being biased. It is pure Donald Trump, and yet it's been undertaken by people who frankly should know better. Nobody has demonstrated ignorance, though, so far on the scale of the Shadow Justice Secretary, Robert Jenrick, who...
oh my God, Bobby J's still around. He's Shadow Justice Secretary. Oh no. Roberto J. Good Lord. Thank you, Lord Fritus, for being French and for gifting a sub to Emily. Much love.
The return of the sausages.
True. Thank you, Wayward Historian, with Bitty Bits, and thank you, Emily, for subscribing. Thank you, Judd. Oh God, it's a thing now. My brain, I can't say it. My brain can't say it. Thank you, Journeying Jordan. Now that I've fucked it up twice, I will never be able to say that name properly. And if you become a regular now, like that, I will just fuck up your name every single day, and it will torture me. I won't be able to sleep at night. I'll develop a fucking tick. Jumbly Concretes. Yes. Fuck me. Anyway, thank you for gifting 5 subs. That is enormously generous, even though I can't say your fucking name. Jumbly Crumbly Jordan. Jordan. It's Jorbin time.
Posted on social media a contribution so pants-wettingly ignorant, not to mention dangerous, that I presumed that it was fake. And when I tried to find it, I couldn't. So I doubly presumed that it was fake, but it wasn't fake. It has since been deleted, and I'll share that with you shortly, because it's an almost perfect distillation of how bonkers, for want of a better word, some of the defences of Benjamin Netanyahu will become. Let's do a couple from my inbox just to show you what we're talking about. Mimi's been in touch. She says, I think you were born anti-Semite and anti-Israel.
You were born anti-Semite. What the fuck does that mean? That would suggest that there is some part of humanity that's anti-Semitic, which would be amazing, because Jewish people haven't been around that long in terms of like human development, right? They've been around thousands of years, you know, but like humans have been around for 150,000 years. Like, so what we pre-developed an anti-Semitism gene, which then only it lay dormant for 100,000 years. Then Jewish people happened, Judaism became a thing, and then it switched on. Like it was an activation thing. You get sleeper cell, like a sleeper agent, and they MK Ultra the motherfucker to flick a switch in their head by issuing a command. It was like that, but with humans. Yeah, the sanest Israel defender. Honestly, you were born anti-Semitic. You fucking creep. For a start off, were the people who criticise Israel, who were born before Israel existed, also born anti-Israel? Because again, that would mean that they were born with something that didn't even make sense because Israel did not yet exist. Are the Holocaust survivors who've criticised Israel, are they also anti-Semitic? Born to be German, lol. Well, it is funny, isn't it, that the whole reason that the ICC even exists, at least is largely in part due to, let's say, some German snafus in the middle of the 20th century. Some minor human rights faux pas on the part of the German nation. And now they're like, well, even though we're signed up to the ICC, if Benjamin Netanyahu turns up, we won't arrest him. So, you're on the wrong side of history twice. You've been on the wrong side of a genocide twice, you stupid cunts. What the fuck are you doing? Honestly, there needs to be some sort of psychological study done about the German nation and its crazy fucking guilt situation. Because even the left in Germany is pro-Israel. What the fuck are you doing? I was really disappointed with the St. Pauli, the football team, soccer team in Hamburg, which is famously leftist, communist to fuck. But it's also a lot of its supporters came out as pro-Israel. Some of those supporters brought in a Palestine flag and they were banned. We get it, guys. You committed some crimes there against Jewish people. That doesn't mean you have to write a blank check for the state of Israel forever. You need to chill the fuck out a little bit, lads. I'm not saying forget about it. Never forget. But, move on a little bit. Just sort of progress beyond the guilt stage to the acceptance and making amends type stage would be my thought on the matter. Thank you everyone for the successful hype train. That was fucking sexy. What is this? Yeah, this is, look at how cursed this image is. Look at this fucking shite. Germany, sort yourselves the fuck out. This is mental. This is such a mental image. This is so mind-bogglingly stupid. You realise that Israel is friends with, should I say, Benjamin Netanyahu is super good friends with Viktor Orban? The Nazi cunt that runs Hungary? What the fuck are you doing? Germany, sort yourselves out, lads. That's just ridiculous. This is unacceptable. This crime, this visual atrocity that I'm currently perceiving, that's not okay. This is not okay. Mad. Fucking mad.
Shame on you, to which my question would be, how do you feel about the Israeli courts wanting to put Benjamin Netanyahu in the dock for a whole bunch of different alleged crimes? Are they anti-Israel? The Israeli lawyers and judges, are they anti-Semitic? If we're going to get pedantic and technical, of course, the Hamas commander.
No, I assure you that's not an AI image. There are many such. If you type in German anti-fascist Israel, something like that. Like, you will find many such images. Even the left in Germany is, like, understandably for historical reasons, has a sensitive, there's like a sensitivity towards Jewish issues, which, like, I get. I think that's a good general idea to have, but they take it to the farcical extent of being anti-fascists who are pro-Israel. Doesn't make any fucking sense. Total bollocks.
Who's also had a warrant issued, is technically a Semite. So is it anti-Semitic to issue an arrest warrant seeking his cooperation with investigations as well? It's incredible. And here's another one from Stephen. Why have you already hung, drawn and quartered Netanyahu? So this is what I mean by people who actually...
Oh, stop sending me these vile images. I don't need this. What the fuck? Antifa means solidarity with Israel. This is cursed. Look how fucking cursed this is. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, no. That's mental. That's so mental. Oh no. Please, let's not make this a thing. My brain is already fried as it is, and I've had a child piss on me today. Like, I don't need this. I don't. It's weird. It's weird.
Really can't see how bent they've become, because I say, who wouldn't want...
When he says bent, that's not like a homophobic thing. He means like corrupt. It's a slang expression for a corrupt person.
To see the legal process properly followed. Who wouldn't want to see, if you think there's a chance that he's innocent? And of course there's a chance that he's innocent. We are all innocent until proven guilty. Why would you not want the legal process to be followed? Let's follow the legal process. Stephen gets in touch to say, why have you already hung, drawn and quartered Netanyahu? So when you say, I think that someone should face trial because these allegations are very serious, people who have been boiled...
Well, thank you for this suggestion. Will Israel become too expensive for the empire? How football can push back? Oh, okay, yeah. Thank you, Seamstress. I'll take a look at that. That's very much in the Kev wheelhouse. Well, no, don't get me wrong. I think the etymology of the phrase bent as a slur for gay people or whatever is probably, that there is homophobia in that. But I don't think he's using it in that context. When he says bent, he means corrupt. I love how Kev has to explain British slang every time. No, it's not a slur. This is the thing. There are lots of slurs in Britain, and I will point them out when it happens. But using the term that some Americans use for homosexual people, when we mean cigarette, like, I think that's important context. We are very homophobic, but not in that specific sense.
Over the course of the last year into a position where they can't contemplate the possibility of wrongdoing, respond by accusing you of exactly what they are doing themselves. Let's wait for the due process of law to be applied.
Oh, due process? Is that what you're going with? See? Anti-Semitic. This is the bit where I explain it's D-U-E. Due process. Because again, on this particular occasion, it's not bigotry.
How dare you condemn him? No, hang on. I'm saying let's wait. You're saying he's innocent. So you're the one who wants to do away with due process. You're the one who wants to do away with the legal system. Without the international rules-based order, we are at the mercy of people like Putin. Without the international rules-based order, we have no... I hesitate to use the word civilization because that condemns everybody who lives in countries that are like Iran and Russia, that are totalitarian regimes. And I don't want to do that. But in the context of the world, if there is not a rule book by which we all abide, or by which all democracies are required to abide, if that rule book doesn't exist, or if that rule book gets torn up, what are we left with? What are we left with? I mean, it is...
Well, that's the liberal disorder for you, isn't it? That supposedly it's just, well, we can just sit on our laurels and have these laws or whatever. Now, James at no point in his adult life, other than very recently, has considered the obvious, blatant flouting of international law by Western countries. Ever. In fact, he has literally supported the Keir Starmer Labour Party, who have been massive supporters of the genocide of the Palestinian people. But now he wants to say the rule book. Like, come on. Who the fuck are you trying to kid? He's so close to getting it. He is close to getting it, but the thing is, as always with liberals, even when they're close to getting it, they're so far from getting it. Like water everywhere and not a drop to drink.
Unthinkable what the alternative would be. Robert Jenrick, the Shadow Secretary of State for Justice, contributes to the conversation in this way, which is a very helpful, and it's not a word I often use about Honest Bob, but it's a very helpful illustration of how desperate these defences already are. He writes, the ICC has no credibility as it turns a blind eye to the crimes of tyrants like Khomeini and Putin. There are two problems with that sentence. Can you spot what they are? Or shall
That they've both got his arrest warrants out for them by the ICC.
I tell you? Okay, Khomeini's dead, and there is a warrant out for Putin. But the Shadow Secretary of State for Justice is so immersed in culture wars and ignorance and idiocy and performative provocation that he either doesn't understand that or couldn't be bothered to find out, or elected to pretend that he didn't know it because he thought he'd get more clicks and giggles by telling that lie.
Yeah, amazing shit. Like, I literally saw some people being like, well, Barack Obama bombed X, Y, and Z thing, and he didn't get an arrest warrant, and George Bush did blah, 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 and he didn't get an arrest warrant. And I'm like, your terms are acceptable to me. Yes, we should arrest those cunts and send them to The Hague as well. I agree. I mean, unfortunately, America isn't a signatory, so that's not going to happen. But I agree, they are also war criminals. Cool. That doesn't make your guy any less of a war criminal. Just pointing to them and going, well, they're doing war crimes as well, doesn't mean you're not doing war crimes. What is this? Worldwide nuclear war, agree with Corbyn. True. So true. So true, Mima.
The fact that he's deleted it suggests it wasn't the final option. Equating Israel's war of self-defense with Hamas's terrorism is absurd. Well, yeah, but no one's done that. Netanyahu and Gallant stand accused of starving the civilian population in Gaza. The Hamas commander stands accused of engaging in or helping to organise the terrorist mass.
When will Rory Katz first be given justice in The Hague? Rory Katz doesn't get given justice. Rory Katz is justice.
Of October the 7th. Where's the conflation there? Starving people is a war crime. If it is proven to be true, a war crime has been committed. The UK shouldn't enforce this farcical arrest warrant from a politicised court that is mired in scandal. So a bloke who doesn't know that Khomeini's dead and Putin has an arrest warrant out on him is now giving lectures on what the ICC should be doing. And then he uses, perhaps inevitably, for these deeply, deeply disingenuous and dishonest politicians, he uses the phrase kangaroo court. The latest decision will only fuel the growing perception that the ICC...
It's so annoying because kangaroos are really cute. At least the baby ones. The big lads, they're fucking scary. Have you seen a really muscly kangaroo? They're fucking mental. They're fucking terrifying. Muscly kangaroo. They don't show you this in Skippy. Look at this lad. Look at what the fuck is this?
Don't you scratch my window.
Oh yeah, you fucking hard man. Look at this fucking thing. Fuck off. Fuck that. That is, look at the fucking claws on the cunt. Absolutely rip you open. Fuck that. Skippy, honestly, was just kangaroo industrial complex propaganda. It was Kangaganda, which is almost certainly the name of a place in Australia.
Is a kangaroo court. How many times have I said to you how dangerous it is for you and I to sit in judgment on a case when we haven't sat in the court for every piece of evidence and every testimony? It's the politics of a Farage to claim that you know more than the CPS does about a case because you've been following Andrew Tate on Twitter, to claim that you understand better what has gone on in a courtroom because you want to write a front page article for tomorrow's Sun newspaper claiming that judges have all gone soft or that prison is a holiday camp. The idea that you have something as august and as internationally important as the ICC delivering a warrant for arrest of a man whose own country want to put him on trial for various other alleged crimes is dismissed without examination is proof of just how disastrous this entire debate has been in Britain. Because the conversation in other countries is going to be different. In the Netherlands, they've already said Benjamin Netanyahu hops off a plane in Amsterdam, he's under arrest. The British government is prevaricating.
Based Netherlands, let's fucking go. I always said they were good and that their language was awesome. So, checkmate. And I didn't have anything to say about the absolutely fine and normal defending of Mark van Bommel. So, anyone who says otherwise, anyone who says I pointed out that he committed literal atrocities in the World Cup final of 2010 is lying. I didn't say that. That is fake news.
I think hedging its bets a bit in the full knowledge that the likelihood of Benjamin Netanyahu hopping off a plane anytime soon in this country is very slim. But imagine an emergency diversion. He'll be welcome in Trump's America, international arrest warrant notwithstanding. But to be honest, to be in Trump's government or to be a friend of Trump's, the more criminal allegations you have against you, the more likely you are to actually be in favour with Donald Trump. But so imagine if some sort of emergency diversion unfolds as Netanyahu's flying to America to worship at the...
Oi, oi, Zakap. Everyone go and follow Zakap immediately. Otherwise I will bring hellfire down upon you. You will rue the day you were born. Not really, but, you know, you should still do that. He's a cool person.
At the altar of Donald Trump, and he gets diverted to Heathrow. Keir Starmer would have one heck of a big decision to make, but as a former DPP and human rights lawyer, I suspect there's only one way in which he could jump. So, I mean, part of me wants to ask how did this happen, but the answer, of course, is that we don't know. And I'd be asking how did this happen, as in, how can people like Honest Bob Jenrick and the Daily Telegraph be queuing up to condemn the court? You remember when Owen Paterson, again, I've now brought the Daily Telegraph columnist Alison Pearson and the Conservative...
What is this? So you think you can beat a kangaroo?
Beat the fuck out of a kangaroo.
G'day, folks. So there seems to be this trend going around where guys from overseas think they'd be able to take on a kangaroo, toe-to-toe, and actually win. I mean, check out this bloke.
The largest animal that I came up with...
Okay.
that I think I could take one-on-one is a kangaroo.
Okay.
I think I could fight a kangaroo.
Have you seen a kangaroo?
What about this guy?
Now, I will tell you, it's kind of been my dream to fight a kangaroo.
It's been my dream to... You're a psychopath. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, saying, hypothetically, I think I could take something is one thing. Saying you actually want to do that, like, it's your dream to do... What? I mean, get yourself killed, I guess. Yeah, get wrecked. The fuck?
I would put hands on them. I watch you guys fight. Skill level 0.
And how about this bloke?
I genuinely believe that I could beat a kangaroo, even if it was just hands. What's a kangaroo gonna do? Try to scratch you? Try to jump at you?
But this guy, he cracks me up.
Alright, so boom. I done seen hella videos about kangaroos and they've been popping up on my timeline, and I feel like I could beat the fuck out of a kangaroo.
Now the kangaroos have heard the call.
Look at this fucking
They're starting to get a bit annoyed.
Fuck that.
They're up for the fight. They're getting ready. They're in training. Check out the kangaroos in training.
Fuck that. Oh, look at the kick power on the bastard. Fuck that.
I'm 6'6", damn near. You feel me?
You're 6'4". A full-grown red kangaroo can grow up to 8 feet.
8 fucking feet. Look at it. It's absolutely shredded. Motherfucker's roided up to shit. Oh my word. Oh, that's mad.
Or 2.4 metres, and weigh up to 200 pounds or 90 kilos of solid muscle, and accounting for 50% of their total weight. As a result, they are naturally muscular, especially in their hind legs.
Unlike you though, mate, Skippy is built like a brick shithouse.
Yeah.
Whereas you're built like used toilet paper.
Fuck off, man. Jesus Christ.
Y'all just gotta think about this shit. They fight with their legs and their tail.
Yep, they fight with their legs and tail, mate. Just like this.
Oh, fuck off.
I'm just giving him space, because I got that reach. You feel me? So if he tries to kick, boom, I'm out of there.
Yeah, you move back, mate. Skippy moves forward. Double leg kick to the chest, kicks you in the next week. Then he grabs a hold of your head, puts you in a headlock, and then starts kicking the shit out of your guts and your balls. Just like this.
Look at that. That's a full-ass bag. And he's absolutely rinsing the thing.
I just can't get near the kangaroo because he gonna put me in the headlock. I'm not stronger than a kangaroo. But if he hopping and he try to kick, I'm just gonna move. Or if he's still that strong to where that he's gonna be on his tail, right? He still gotta lean back. And his arms ain't long enough. He like a T-Rex. So if he's on the back and he try to kick, but he's balanced, now he's open. He can't defend that.
Yeah, he's balanced on his tail, mate. That means he's cocked, locked, and ready to rock. Those 2 back legs are ready to launch you into the next galaxy. And that's what he's gonna do, mate. Seriously.
Bruh, I can beat a kangaroo. Like.
Oh, no, you can't. No, you can't.
I'm gonna beat kangaroo for sure. I know kangaroo have good striking, but nobody check the grappling.
Kangaroos have no grappling? Check this out, dude. Well,
just threw him through the metal. God damn.
You guys who can think you can take on a kangaroo, well, I'd love to see you try. I'd actually pay to watch that. I'm pretty sure every Australian would pay to watch that, especially when you got guys like this.
And I feel like people are scared because of how they look and all of the muscles. That shit don't faze me, bro.
Taking on brews like this.
Why has he got to be flexing? There's no need, mate. There's no need.
Ask any Aussie. They'll tell you.
Fucking mental. I don't think I could beat a kangaroo. I'll be entirely honest. I don't think I could beat a kangaroo. I reckon I could take on a pigeon. I'd fuck a pigeon up. I'm just saying.
Former politician Owen Paterson into a conversation about Benjamin Netanyahu. Why? Because due process is all that we have got. It's all that we have got. It's why extremist politicians hate it. It's all that we have got. It's all that guards us against tyranny, either in our own country or elsewhere. So when Owen Paterson was found to have broken the rules in the House of Commons, what did Boris Johnson, various Daily Telegraph journalists and Jacob Rees-Mogg try to do? They tried to rip up the rule book. They tried to condemn the actual parliamentary standards rather than condemning the parliamentarian who had been found by a jury of his peers to have broken them. So if you are a friend of Israel, and I hope you are, like me, a friend of Israel, then the possibility that the country is being governed by a war criminal is one that you would want to see interrogated.
So that's what I mean. He's a friend of Israel. Now, I understand the sentiment of wanting to be sort of generally internationalist, that people, regardless of where they're from, should be like, you know, you should have solidarity and all that shit, right? Whatever. But Israel is integrally, at the very core of what it is, an ethno-nationalist endeavour. I am not a friend of Israel. No.
debated immediately and robustly. If you are a friend of Israel, I would have thought that seeing the man in charge of your country on trial for very serious allegations and apparently well-evidenced ones would be a bit of a priority for you. But what the war has done, and what Hamas handed him on a silver platter on October the 7th, was the mother of all avoidances. Keep the war going for as long as possible in order to avoid being put in a dock in Israel, which is heartbreaking news for Palestinians in Gaza and in Lebanon, because, you know, if the possibility of being put in a dock in The Hague is now on the table, I don't think that is likely to see any softening of approach to killing civilians in either of those territories. It's extraordinary that this is debatable. At least that's how it seems to me. I'm not ill-informed, I'm not uninformed, but I'm not completely informed. It's possible there's stuff that I've missed, but I would have thought that if your man, for want of...
Well, I know what you mean. I'm not a friend of like geopolitical entities either. But when he says I'm a friend of Israel or whatever, it's like, I think he means he's trying to be like, ironically, kind of woke, I guess. He's trying to say like, I'm a friend of the Israeli people, or I'm a friend of Jewish people. He doesn't want to be accused of anti-Semitism, basically.
Of a better friend.
But yeah, I mean, I've talked about it before. Lines on a map don't mean shit to me. I couldn't give a fuck. Some dickhead 500 years ago drew a line on a map, and now I get rights and someone else doesn't get rights? What? I don't give a fuck. Stick your fucking countries up your arse.
Phrase, stands accused of war crimes, then you demand your day in court. You demand your day in court. Unless you feel that you have so successfully influenced the discourse in the countries that you care about, that actually you're going to be trusting your position to the court of public opinion, which has been very effectively dictated or directed by precisely the sort of politicians like Honest Bob Jenrick and various Daily Telegraph columnists that we've already alluded to today.
Well, look, Birmingham isn't so much a geopolitical entity as it is a war crime. It's an atrocity. It's an atrocity that I have to live every day, and I don't like being reminded of it. You're triggering me.
Hey, why would you not want Benjamin Netanyahu to be given a chance to prove his innocence? 0345 6060 973. You get accused of something, what do you want? You want the chance to prove your innocence, right? And where do you do that?
Well, again, because as pointed out earlier, they know they have no actual legal defence. That's why they throw anti-Semitism around. A, because it's like a reflexive thing, and B, they don't actually have a legal defence. If they had a legal defence, they'd make it. Be a lot easier. Or a lot more effectively, I suppose. It's not an actual place. Birmingham is a state of mind like New York. We are exactly like New York. We are literally exactly like New York in no ways. Actually,
0345.
No, there are lots of rats here. So we are like New York in that we have lots of rats. So that's nice.
6060 973. There it is. And I, one more thing, if I may. I knew that something like this was going to happen because as soon as people, decent people, ringing me to support actions in Gaza, as soon as we got to that question of how many people would you be comfortable to see dead, and they would say, oh, I don't want to see any dead. And I would say, no, but we have to put a number on it. How much will be too much? It's a simultaneously crass and coruscating question at the same time. How many would be too much? And when you realised that even people living here with family and emotional links to Israel, even people living here were perilously close, and eventually, of course, they crossed the line, but perilously close to saying, I don't think there's an upper limit on how many people he can kill in pursuit of freeing the hostages, who we know now have never really been his top priority, or in pursuit of...
I don't think they've been a priority at all. They were a useful tool to get the geopolitical result he wanted. That's it. He was rather happy that the hostages were taken. It's the only reason he's still Prime Minister. It's the only reason he's not in jail.
eradicating Hamas, which we have known all along was an impossible goal, and quite possibly the opposite has been achieved for future generations. So as soon as I heard you tell me
there are Ninja Turtles in Birmingham, but that's because of all of the radiation.
That you couldn't really, or you weren't prepared, or you got very angry with me for just pointing out that there has to be a point at which we could say this has gone too far. This is too much. Came out on October the 8th in full support of Israel.
Yeah, they need to release the sausages. This is true.
Like most of the world, and their right to defend themselves, and their right to respond, their right to retaliate. But within weeks, it was becoming pretty clear that the response was going to dwarf the provocation. The response was going to dwarf the atrocity. The atrociousness of the response was going to dwarf the atrocity of October the 7th. And at precisely that point, I told you that this is such a dangerous road to go down. Because if you give impunity to anybody, they will use it.
Yeah. It's a very good point.
And that's why the
Very
International
poignant.
Criminal Court finds itself in the unhappy position of having to issue a warrant for the Prime Minister of Israel. And I don't understand why anybody wouldn't welcome the opportunity he has been given to prove that he's not guilty of any of the things many people believe him to be, up to and including war crimes and genocide.
Literally true. Literally true. Very well put. James, as ever, close to getting it, and yet you know he never quite will. Anyway, on that bombshell, shall we find a place to send you all over to? Who is shakalacking? Tina 2's going. I haven't been over to Tina in a little while, so I'll send you all over there. What the fuck is that image? That image is entirely what you want to make of it. It is a vessel to fill with your own dreams. I don't know what the fuck that means. Anyway, go and say hello to Tina, who is good peeps. I don't know what the fuck they're doing, but they're doing something. Anyway, I'll be back probably tomorrow, I think. There's stuff I wanted to get to. There's more slop. There's more slop from the Discord that I need to get to. So I'll probably do that tomorrow, I reckon. And I want to do a Tanky Tuesday at some point, but definitely not on Tuesday, obviously. So yeah, stick around to find out what the hell's going on or something, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Stay fucking beautiful, yeah? Free Palestine. No pass around.